All right. Welcome out, everybody. Let me get the music changed here, and we will be ready to rock and roll. We're going to put on some super intelligence music for all those of you that like to be super intelligent. Welcome out, ladies and gentlemen, to What's Your Question number 46. I just sporadically decided to do this last minute. I'm like, what the hell? It's Saturday night. I got nothing better to do. So welcome out on this great Saturn night. And I think I got to excuse myself for a second and get my cards. I have my cards of illumination, but I don't have my tarot cards, and I want to grab those. So welcome out, everybody. I'm going to do that in just a second. I appreciate all of you joining in and supporting this channel. We are a decoding family, and I take you wherever I go if you're willing to come on this journey. But welcome out. My name's Logan, Decode Your Reality, and I'm really glad you joined in tonight. We're going to get this party started. What is your question? What kind of questions do you have? Please don't get offended if I don't answer your question. I'm not ignoring anybody. I want to put these disclaimers out there as we go through this time that we spend together. I'm going to try to get to as many questions as I can. So just, sending out a big, massive Mexican love to all of you. I'm here in the lovely Caribbean, beautiful paradise, Mexico, just south of Cancun, just north of Playa del Carmen. It is paradise here. And if you can come out to Mexico, come out to Mexico. I got my fresh pressed coconut juice here, coconut water, I should say. There's a juicery right down the street. It's pretty awesome. I get to just go down there and buy stuff right from the vine, as they say. I will be looking over to my right here, because this is where I have my my iPad, my second monitor for your comments. So I'm going to be doing my best to get to every single one of you as we go through this journey tonight. All right. If the music is a little too loud, just let me know. It shouldn't be. It should be just fine and dandy. Yes, that is the Armadillo Medicine card. That is card number 28. Today, December 3rd, is a very special day. I have a very close friend of mine, Gabby, her birthday. Happy birthday to Gabrielle. She is born on this day, December 3rd. Happy birthday to my friend Tasha, who is another gem of a person. These people are two of diamonds. December 3rd, depending on how you look at it, depending on what astrology system you're using, December 3rd is in the Vedic. It will still be the sign of Scorpio. And in the Western, it will be Sagittarius. I prefer, these days, I can honestly and authentically tell all of you, I prefer to use the Vedic. I will be doing some breakdowns tonight of some astrological charts, just to show you the power and the connections of all these layers that I bring to the table, connecting multiple facets, not just astrology, but alchemy, cards of illumination, tarot. These are all going to be connected to your chart as well. That's why studying your chart, getting a reading if you can, but if you can't, just looking at your chart, you'll figure it out. You'll get it figured out. Watch my How to Decode Yourself video. Thanks everybody for supporting that, my most watched video. It's an hour long of how to decode yourself. Many of you have taken advantage of that. And I have gotten so many positive feedback emails from people, countless, saluting to the fact that, oh my God, this is just the greatest thing since sliced bread. Knowing who I am, knowing why I'm here, knowing my purpose, knowing my journey, knowing my cosmic blueprint. So I will encourage all of you out there, all of you great decoders, if you're decoding reality, that's awesome. But the very best thing you can do is to decode yourself. Before you do anything else, you want to, don't you want to know why you're here? It's cool to decode reality and figure out how this reality works, but are you not in the least bit interested as to why you're here? I hope so. All right. So give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. I will be right back. I'm just going to grab my tarot cards. Give me 1 second. Okay. Perfecto. All right. I got all my tools of the trade here. Man, these things are just bomb. So, ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, I have had some personal things happen to me over the past 3 weeks that have been just have completely blown my mind. And I have been shown certain pieces of the code. And I can honestly and authentically tell all of you that the universe is communicating with me. And it has told me this story of my past life. And it has got me emotional. I've had my bouts of crying and tears and just flooded with emotions, and it's just wow, a release. But then happiness. I mean, all that matters is the now moment, but man, let me tell you, I put on a movie last night. Randomly. It's like, oh, that looks good. I put it on, and there were more signs. And ladies and gentlemen, if I were to narrate and show you everything, but I won't because this is like my personal life. I don't really share a lot of, but if I were to show you everything, it would blow your mind. It's blown my mind. A lot of people like to figure out who they were in their past lives. I'm now, with this whole thing that has happened to me, maybe this has happened to you, I'm absolutely convinced we just reincarnate. Do we ever get out of the game? Maybe we can. But I mean, I've been shown myself in a past life. And it's undeniable. Absolutely and it just continually reminds me through different layers of decoding. Through the card. I mean, I go online, sometimes I do these pick a card readings. They're kind of fun, just randomly do them. Just unbelievable. Just randomly. So if you are somebody who, is in the same spot as me, if you've been getting signs, pay attention. If a song pops into your head when you wake up in the morning, just out of nowhere, that's a sign to tell you something. When I go to sleep at night and I put my phone on the charger, I look and see what the percentage of the battery is. That's a sign. When I wake up in the morning and I grab my phone and I look what time it is, that's a sign. Everything is going to be a sign. So start paying attention. If you want to figure out how your life is, I mean, maybe you don't, but I mean, I do. But see, I don't need to defend this now. Like I know we live in a predestined, scripted reality. I'm past the point of it's man's not doing anything. Sure, they carry out the blueprint. Yes, we do things. We create. I'm creating stuff. But you're just doing your script. Don't you want to know what that is? To have more fun with it? Because it puts your mind at ease, man, knowing okay, this is, and if you've got a good code, folks, if you're here right now, you probably got a decent code. And I'm thinking, if we have free will, right? If we have free will, maybe that kind of correlates to what kind of life you're going to get next time. And you may just get I'm watching some of this stuff and I'm paying attention to, like, man, it's like, why did those people get that code? God, I'm just grateful for the code I got. But then I look at some people's lives and I'm like, wow, man, I'm so glad I didn't get that. Imagine having to live through that. I mean, hey, we all have our ups and downs and challenges, but some people just get some really gnarly codes to live through. I mean, I've been decoding serial killers now for weeks. So I postulate, I mean, think about this now. Use your thinking cap now, folks. Forget about like, oh, they're fake. Like, I really hope you're not at that mindset. Like, everything's fake now. It's like it's bleeding into society. Like, that never happened. It's like becoming popular. But I've been studying these serial killers. Like, what makes their mind operate the way they do? It's in their code. I mean, I'm going to show you Ted Bundy, one of the most prolific killers in the United States. And I'm going to give you a contrast. I'm going to show you Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, the great leader in India, who was working for the good guys. His life was scripted. He didn't have a choice. I'm going to support it. I'm not going to use the word prove. I'm going to say support. That's what I would show up to court with if I had to prove my case. I'd show up with all this material. And I would present this to the witness, to the jury. And anybody that goes against it, like, what are you going to show up with, your opinion? No, well, I'm in control of my life. And well, how do you prove that? Anyways, the stuff I've been decoding with serial killers, ladies and gentlemen, imagine that you are a victim. Imagine you got a code of being a victim of a serial killer. Imagine you were Sharon Tate and the three others that were in that house in the Hollywood Hills on Cielo Drive in 1969, I think it was, when they all got murdered. Charles Manson family, Ted and et cetera, they all walk in and whatever happened. August 9th, 1969, I think it happened. Imagine you got that code and you get murdered. Maybe, just maybe, those people didn't level up in life. Maybe they did some shitty things in their past lives. And that's the price they got to pay. I don't know. I also have, I'm going to jump into your questions here in a second. I also have on next, what day is it? On the 8th, 5 days away, live, I'm going to be decoding the O.J. Simpson trial. Wait till I show you the charts of the trial date, of when he was acquitted, Ron Goldman's chart, Nicole Brown Simpson's chart, and of course O.J. Simpson's chart, and the night of the murders on June 12th. It's in the astrological charts. It's right in there. And their cards, and their alchemical elements, their birthdays. Ron Goldman was 25, Nicole Brown Simpson 35, and OJ 46. All of these things play a role in this whole reality, this scripted reality. There's no way around it with this information. This is what I'm going to use for my support. So join me live on, let me tell you exactly, it's going to be the 8th. The 8th of December. The 8th of December at, I don't remember what time it is, but you can just go on my channel and you'll find it. So Patriot Eagle, you should decode a current event. OJ is old news. Yeah, but you see, OJ Simpson trial is the most watched trial ever in the history of mankind. The most watched. The amount of people that tuned in superseded anything on television. That's why I'm decoding it. It's big time. People were glued to their TVs for that trial. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but he ended up getting convicted in a civil suit for the murders. So you can't try him twice through the criminal, but he got civil and he got whacked with a $33 million fine. 33 million, 33. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some more of your questions. Will I ever decode Kanye West? Maybe. He doesn't really excite me. I don't something doesn't excite me. I mean, I can say this. I will say this. I will tell you this. Somebody shared a video of him and he was wearing a hat and it said 2024. So I was like, I wonder what that means. So of course I'm looking to my Bible, my card Bible, and I'm looking at it, and 2024 looks like it may be a big changing year. I had thought 2023, I think cryptocurrency will come into play. 2023, the standardized way of doing things for trading currencies. But 2024 looks pretty interesting. So anyway, I don't know if I'll end up decoding him. Christopher Brown, Don't Fear the Reaper decode was epic. Thank you so very much. Thanks everybody for all your support. Whether you like me, I know I have people here that don't like me. That's totally fine. That's great. Just take what you can. Like, I'm not here to twist your arm, force anything on you. I don't get you in a headlock. Yes, I stand by my research, but you stand by yours. So there's no force here. So I have haters that come to the channel and they come here because they want the information. It's so funny. You don't like me, but you come to the channel. So it kind of says it all right there, but everybody's welcome. Like, I'm just trying to create what is the word I'm looking for? A unification, where everybody can just kind of drop their swords at the front desk and just walk in and just be like, hey, what's going on? What do you believe? Oh, you believe that? Okay, I believe this. Because everybody, you got your own set of beliefs. I got my own set of beliefs. No matter what level you're at in this reality of decoding reality, you're going to have your own set of beliefs. If you laid all your beliefs out on the table and I laid all my beliefs out on the table, they're not going to be the same. Are we going to have a pissing match because you don't believe the same things I do and vice versa? That's where division comes in. That's where you get a dystopian world. Have I ever decoded Nostradamus? I have not. I have not. Kanye is supporting of Trump and he is running for second presidential campaign in 2024. Yeah, I knew he was going to. Let's see. I mean, I predicted Trump. I got Biden right, all from the cards. I knew Biden and Harris were going to be selected. But I'm just saying that because, like, we're just doing this for fun. I don't really care. They're just being used anyway. So, we just do this. It's just like sports. You predict Super Bowl winners or World Series winners. That's just for fun. I don't gamble. It's just for fun. But the Trumpster, interesting guy, right? Interesting code he got. Heavy Jupiter energy. 3 of diamonds. 3 of diamonds is the 29th card in the deck. It's a heavy energy, by the way. It's the Apprentice card in the tarot. I mean, Trump had a show called The Apprentice, and he's got the Apprentice card in the tarot for his birth card. I mean, are you serious? Yeah, I'm serious. So yeah, if Trump, I mean, I'd have to see who they end up putting in, but I'll make some determinations when they start having that stuff roll out. Be interesting. Can you decode the number 37? Yeah, it's tied. Eye in the Sky's 37. Shepherd's 37. 37's tied to Sirius. The Eye in the Sky. 37 is tied to the Star card in the tarot. 37 is going to reduce down to the number 1. Those of you that like to reduce down in numerology, number 1 is the leader. So you have the shepherd, the eye in the sky being the number 1, the leader, the first. 3 and 7, when you separate those numbers, you're going to get the 3 of creativity of the number 3, and then the crown of the number 7, the analyst. So, when you get your life path, for example, all of you will have a you'll have a compound number for your life path. When you add up, you take your birthday and you add up all the digits, you break them all down individually, all single digits. So like I was born in 1973, so you go 1 plus 9 plus 7 plus 3 plus your birthday. And then you're going to get a double digit. That's your true life path number. And then that's going to reduce down to a single digit. And you got to know both. And that's why you can't, well, I shouldn't say you can't. Numerology is where it's at, folks. Forget, I hope by watching my podcast and presentation, gematria is the coding of words into numbers. None of us do that. The proper terminology when you decode is numerology. Because then you got to, like a lot of people say, what does this number mean? Well, study numerology and you'll know. So you're going to have a compound number, 26, 37, 23, 25, 38, 29. And then some of you, I got a master number. Well, that doesn't make you any more special than anybody else. You actually have a double number. 29 life path is going to be an 11 life path, which is going to be a 2 life path. If you have a master number 22 life path, you're going to also be a number 4 life path. If you have a master number 33, you're going to also be a number 6 life path. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter what life path you are, it's what you do with it that counts. And then you can fit that into your astrological chart and you can start to see if you have planets in those houses of where your life path is. It's a very complex cobweb, but you still can start to see how this all pans out for you as a human being. So Jason Lewis, 33 or 6, it's going to be both. 33 and 6. That's how I look at it as a numerologist. I want to look at because like imagine you're a number. Just for 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine that you're a number. Numbers are archetypes. Okay? So you're a number. Yeah, man, I'm 38. Well, would you get pissed off if someone says, no, you're really a 2? No, I'm not. I'm a 38. No, you're a 2. Wouldn't you get offended by that? Yeah, if someone started calling you, Jill and your name's Robin, wouldn't you get offended by that? I mean, you'd be like, maybe you wouldn't get offended, but you'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? My name's Robin. No, you're Jill. So why I'm saying this is that if you're a 38 life path, you're a 38 life path. You can reduce it down to the 11 and reduce it down to the 2. You got to look at all these angles and you'll get a more broader scope of who you are and why you're here. Instead of just saying, yeah, I'm a master life path number 11 life path. Those of you that have the master life path numbers, you got a double life path number. And even if you don't have a master life path number, I said, like I'm a 26. 26 is going to reduce down to the 8. Officially, I'm an 8 life path, but I'm also a 26 life path. What does the 26 mean? Well, you break the 2 and the 6 apart. What does the 2 and the 6 mean? You see, this is how you got to use numerology to figure out your code. "31 life path reduces to a 4. It does, but it's still the 3 and the 1. See, what does the 4 mean? 4 is the builder. 4 is the cube. Right? Anybody that's a 4 birthday, like I'm a 4 birthday. So I automatically know from a numerology standpoint, I'm a 4 birthday, I am a builder. What do you think I'm doing? Building this Decode Your Reality channel, the systems that I build, the course I have. I'm a builder, I'm a teacher, I'm a builder. 4. But if you go back up to the 31, well, how does that 4 build? The 4 builds from the layers of the 3 and the 1. You got to figure out what the numbers 3 and 1 mean. 31, if you just go, there's a great website called Affinity Numerology. Affinity, AFFINITY. And all you got to do is type in your number, 31 Affinity Numerology in your favorite search engine, and it will probably be the first hit. It's a cool website. You click on that and it'll take you down. It'll tell you about the 31, and then it'll show you the bar graphs and what the 31 is going to give its energy to, which is the number 4. And then you can click on the number 4 and read about it. And this is what all of you should be doing. All of you should be memorizing your code. Because then anything outside of what you are for your code, you'll just start to dismiss it. Because when I do my readings, I tell people this. Your parents or whoever raised you, they did the best they could. But you got to remember, man, they trained you, they programmed you, they raised you from their set of code. It's not your code. So it's different to say, don't talk to strangers, look both ways before you cross the street, don't steal, don't kill anybody, that kind of stuff. That's just basic fundamentals. But when it comes to like a lot of parents, they encourage their children, they push their children into the same career fields they're in. Like, oh, I'm a doctor, so I'm going to have my son become a doctor. And the kid's not born to be a doctor. And he goes through school, he's smart, intelligent, he passes with flying colors, but he resents his father because his dad forced him into going to medical school for 6 years. And he didn't want to. He wanted to go be a surfer, or he wanted to be a musician. And now he holds this layer of resentment, anger, and he doesn't even tell his father. But the static and the resistance is always going to be there. You got to slash that. You got to get rid of it. But that's why if you're a parent, if you got kids, you should be decoding your kids to the deepest layers, because then you'll figure out what you can gently nudge them towards. Because they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I want to play the drums. And then you could start to see, like, is the drums in the code? Well, it's not going to say a drum set or a drummer's in your code, but you can start to see, like, if they have a lot of planets in the third house, or if they have a 3 card or something very artistic, yeah, then it's there. You could start to see it. And then you would gently, maybe then that's where you're like, you know what? I'm going to save up and buy them a drum set. Instead of trying to force your code onto your children, because that's what your mom and dad did. Can't do things the way we used to do things 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Just doesn't work in this day and age. Daniel, how do you know if a relationship is worth repairing? That's a really challenging question. I can tell you this, and I speak from experience. If the relationship gets toxic, if you can't wake up in the morning and say, man, I can't wait to start my day with my partner, then why are you in the relationship? That's like the sign of all signs. If you can wake up and be like, look over at that person, like, that's my ride or die. Like, that's where I'm at right now. Like, it's ride or die now. Is that your ride or die? And then the ride or die, man, what's the price you got to pay for the ride or die? You see, when you respect each other mutually, there's no like stabbing, there's no breaking glass, smashing shit, there's no craziness, because your conscious level is high. I think at least everybody here would want to be in a relationship like that, where you're mature, your frequency is high, your conscious level is high, you're not doing the blame game. You're living a life of slightly love, slightly service to others. When you can check those things off the box, now you have a foundation that's really sound to work from. But if you're dealing with somebody who's like on the lower end of the spectrum, well, it's just going to be, I don't give a shit how bad you want to force it. It's just going to be like oil and water. But I think that the tried and true is waking up and looking over at that person and be like, man, like, can you look at across the room at your partner and freaking say, man, that person's amazing. Like, the honeymoon stage wears off. We all know that it never lasts. You got to get as close as you can to that honeymoon stage as you can. And then it's got to be your ride or die. And then there has to be no forcing code. You got to study your partner. Like I've been by myself for a long time now. Totally fine. It's part of my journey. It's allowed me to do all this stuff and share all this stuff with all of you. But, like, if I were to ever get into a relationship again, I would be studying my partner like a fine-tooth comb. I want to know exactly how they show up. And then I want to communicate, like, tell me everything about you. I don't judge. I don't care. That's your past. I want to know how you freaking roll out every day. But see, a lot of people, you know what they do? They're afraid to tell their partners their deepest, innermost secrets of what happened in their past. They're afraid to do it. So you got to have a foundation. You got to be on the same frequency as that other person. You can't be like here and they're down here. It's just, how's that going to work? I mean, let me just give you an example. Here's a great example. Let's say you have a guy who is a vegan, hardcore. Doesn't eat honey, like hardcore. And then they weren't vegan at first. They gradually moved into it. And then their partner isn't. Their partner doesn't want to stop eating animals. How do you roll with that? I mean, you know, if you're cooking together, if you're sharing meals, you're going out to dinner, like, okay, you got to be tolerating the other person. You can't force your ideals upon that person. You have to live and let live. You can be like, you know what? You're my ride or die. If that's how you feel your journey should be, I'm not here to judge you. But if you can't wake up and deal with that toleration, then, you know, you got to put yourself in check. Because the last thing you want to do is have no toleration and I can't do this. If you can't tolerate your partner and what their choices are on a personal level, then why are you with them? Maybe it's better to walk away. It's okay. That's a perfect example. So you're going to see, you know, doctors, I've been through enough personal development seminars. Doctors hang out with doctors, lawyers hang out with lawyers. Your past, you're going to hang out with the people of, you know, how you acted in the past. You don't have to be that person, but you got to be on that same level and check things off the box. And then you, like I said, when you wake up in the morning, man, can you look over and say, man, this person's freaking the best thing ever in my life. It causes me the greatest joy. If they don't cause you the greatest joy, what the hell are you with them for? You're not only doing yourself a disservice, but you're doing them a disservice because you're staying with them and locking them in, whereas there could be somebody out there waiting for you. And you're not pulling the plug. So you got to, you know, there's a lot of things involved. Your gut instinct, but you got to have a clear mind. You can't be, you know, addicted to stuff, drugs and alcohol. You can't be all clouded and then try to figure it out. It's just, you're not on an even playing field to figure it out. But yeah, Silvana, your partner should never suffer. If you're staying in the relationship because you're too afraid to walk away because you don't want to be alone, that's selfish. So, I just gauge it on the happy meter, man. Are you happy when you wake up every day? Are you more happy than not? And if you are, then the answer should be I'm going to work this out. I'm not into this we should sacrifice. Sacrifice what, man? Let me be me. I'm going to be me and you be you. And that's it. Sacrificing is where are we going to go for dinner tonight? What kind of movie are we going to go see? Oh, I don't want to watch. We got to watch The Notebook again. That's sacrifice. But if you meet somebody I'm a workaholic, going into a relationship, I work a lot. I put a lot of energy into my career. It's a matter of fact, you know what my code says? My career comes first. And I'm totally authentic and I own that space and I'm totally okay with it. And I don't care. Because that's what makes me happy. Do you want to have a happy Logan or you want to have somebody who's pissed off and angry and irritable? No, you want to have a happy Logan. You want to have this right there. That's what you want to have. So if you let me be me and I let you be you, the relationship should go into a really good direction. But there has to be a communication base unlike no other. You got to tell your partner everything on your mind. That's how I see how it happens, or how I think it should happen. But a lot of people ask me that. I'm like, are you happy? That's it. Just keep it simple. Are you happy in the relationship? No, I'm not. Well, then get out of it. Forget about what they did 30 years ago. Well, you got to just work through it. Says who? You did it 30 years ago, so I got to follow in the footsteps. The times are different today. And for me anyway, straight up I'm going to tell you, marriages are a contract. When you put that band on your finger, it's a contract. The contract is held by the state that you got married in. And then it's going to be linked to astrology because the judge that gets up and signs the decree and whatever, all the paperwork, that's all Saturn based. It's different. It's a game changer when you know the celestials, the supernatural, et cetera, et cetera. Justin, big shout. I know it's been quiet on for both of us, but a very big shout out to my great friend Jordan at Waters Above Crypto. I got to text him back too because he messaged me and I read his message and I forgot to respond. So when are we doing another podcast? Soon. I'm sure we'll do one within the next couple weeks. Yeah, I'm sure. Justin, what's the website to help decode ourselves? Well, there is on my channel. If you go to my Decode Your Reality channel on YouTube and you click on the home page, the very first video that's highlighted on there is how to decode yourself. It's an hour and 5 minutes long. Click on that and you're off to the races. What's up, Max? Do I think antipodal points on the Earth to landmarks have significance? Everything has significance, yeah. If you can find a connection beyond the connection. Like this is why... when I post on social media, like on Facebook, the decoding people come out, and then they put their decoding results out. And again, I'm not poo-pooing on it, but that's basic decoding, is like taking words and putting it into whatever cipher you feel like choosing to get the outcome. And then you get all excited because I was there doing this. I'm speaking from experience. Just because you get a number outcome doesn't mean it has any significance. There are many words that connect to many numbers. Like I had come out with when this big Society of Jesus is 56. I'm like, yeah, well, so is the word Fruit Loops. So I could easily narrate and say, well, maybe the Society of Jesus, maybe they created Kellogg's cereal. Maybe they created Fruit Loops and Toucan Sam. Do you know? I mean, that's just how absurd this whole decoding world's gotten. That's why I have encouraged all of you great decoders, just use one cipher. It doesn't have to be Chaldean. But use one. A lot of people, what they're trying to basically doing is they're taking like 4, 5, 6, 7 languages at one time, and they're trying to speak all these languages and like in tongues, and like nobody's and it's like, oh yeah, that sounds good because it's 1, 1, 1, and that equals 1, 1, and they don't get it. And this has like been the demise of the decoding world, from my opinion, are all these ridiculous ciphers. No one even knows where they came from. You can make up a cipher. I've made some up. But then you need to do something with the results. You need to do something with it. Otherwise, it's just a number connected to a word. Big deal. That's not impressive. And it's probably very far down the chain of what really 1 + 1 = 2 is. So again, pick one cipher, and keep notes. I get notes going back 10 years of, my outcomes. I save them in my computer. I have, and all the numbers and, But I, as most of you know, I mainly use Chaldean, but I branch off a little bit here and there, sure. But just choose one cipher to do your decoding from. Just pick one. It makes it much more harder. You're going to get more frustrated. You're not going to have all the fun and thrills that you would get using 4, 6, or 20 of them. But do you want to get like real tangible results, or do you want to just get like fun results that you can put on Facebook and say, look at me? Like, oh, look at this connection. It's just as bad as doing a selfie these days. Posting people's results with these ciphers. It's like, might as well just take a picture of yourself and post it on there. Same thing. The medicine card link in the oh yeah, okay. So there's a link. So AG Native, there's a link in the Decode Yourself video on the medicine cards. It's probably a description of the medicine cards. I would imagine that's what you're speaking about. So some of these links are outdated, right? So, I mean, I'm relying on people's websites, and they have hosting providers, and some people just let their hosters go. So that may be the reason why that is. So I have the course coming out. I'm still working on it, but that will be all updated, and it will be extremely advanced. Simple, but advanced. Justin, Michael, I thought you mentioned a website last stream. I seen about typing info. Yeah, it's called it'sallinthecards.com. Here, I'll put it right here. If that's what you're talking about, my friend Sharon's website, itsallinthecards.com. There you go. That's checking on your cards and your birth card. But the cards are obviously their own system. And let me tell you, man, they're super accurate in describing how this reality works, for sure. They are. Silvana, where do you get the card Bible like yours? You can't. My friend Sharon made this specifically. She makes it for clients. So she gave me this as a gift when I was living right next door to her, and when I first moved to Mexico. I actually have I have the graphics online for all these charts. I just haven't publicly posted them yet. But I have them all. So, but my goal is to have a little mini course, a basic course on how to read the cards, because you need that instead of just, because you're not going to know what to look for. I mean, it's going to be like looking at a foreign language. You know, every year, like this chart right here is chart number 27. Okay, so every year these cards move. It's like a bingo chart. You can read it like a bingo chart too. These cards move to certain areas on the chart, and they're numbered. There's 52 spaces on here. So you get an extended layer beyond the card and the meaning, and then the lineage of the cards. You know, you're going to have your 12 cards in a row based upon your astrological chart. You can place those in your astrological chart. It's really advanced, but you can do that as well. And you can start to see how your freaking maps, how your year's going to roll out. You can just tell, you can see it. Wait till, when I show you the O.J. Simpson thing, man. Nicole Brown Simpson, and let me just show all of you really quickly. And this is, I'm going to say something to you, okay? I'm going to give you a theoretical position here. This is just a theory of mine. Okay. So when I looked at the charts for Goldman, Brown, and Simpson, Nicole, Ron, and OJ, and I put them side by side, all three, based on their ages. Okay. Then I look and figure out where the cards are at. And there's what's called the crown line in the cards. So what we have is, we have this right here. These three cards are in the crown line. And that's not all. You have all these other 49 other spaces there as well. But during the ages of Nicole, Ron, and OJ in the crown line, sat in Nicole and Ron's chart, sat their freaking birth cards in the Jupiter crown line position. See, and the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, and here's where my theory comes in. Ron Goldman, born on June 2nd, he was the king of diamonds. And Nicole, she was born on May 19th or something. She was also a king. So you literally had two kings that got taken out. And so I'm looking at this information and I'm meditating on it, visualizing and trying to think and like give me the info, like trying to be that catalyst. Like, universe, just tell me how this works. So I've come up with a couple possible theories. And, you know, one of them is that these two people that got taken out, maybe they did something really shitty in their past life. And that was their hell. They got freaking taken out. Butchered. Took out two kings. And it was, you know, and we now know because he had a civil suit and he got guilty of it, so it was obvious. But this is O.J. Simpson. And this is how, you want to talk about somebody who has got a scripted code? O.J. Simpson wore the number 32 throughout high school, college, and the NFL. He's got the 32nd card in the deck. Now, come on, man. You go all the way back to high school. You think the coach of his high school team knew that he was the 32nd card in the deck because he was a fan of the cards? You're like, oh, well, OJ, you got to wear the number 32. Maybe. I mean, there's a percentage of that may be true, but come on. This card right here is a card tied to the 131 is the 32nd prime number, and there's someone in my head, but it's not me. 131 by Pink Floyd, the song Brain Damage, which I showed over and over. You think O.J. Simpson had control of his mind? I mean, in his interviews, he said he blacked out. Doesn't remember. But maybe, just maybe, that 6 took out two kings. And it's very possible, ladies and gentlemen. You see, I mean, people go to Vegas, Atlantic City, and they play with cards. And they gamble. Well, since we are all these cards through our birth, are we being played? Are we being played? And did Ron and Nicole, did they get taken out because they had it coming to them? As horrific, and this, again, I'm not saying this is true. I'm being very abstract and this is purely theoretical, but it's possible that their lives and their, I mean, let me tell you, it was a love triangle with these three. Yeah, I'll show you when I do the breakdown on the 8th, I will show you in the cards, in the astrological charts, it was destined to happen. These people didn't have a choice. Didn't have a choice in the matter. And then you go into this, is this reality? This reality is not real. It's like a Westworld. So people will be like, oh, you know what? I want to go down there and I'm going to go be a killer. That's what happened in Westworld. And I told you, man, maybe when you get a shitty code, maybe you just were a really bad person in your past life. You come back and you become a victim of horrific crimes and you live in hell and you get taken out. That's your punishment. I mean, you can't rule these basic fundamentals out based upon the things that I'm seeing anyway. You know, I wanted to show all of you. It was that, and just to show you the source code, okay? And you may or may not have watched my video on decoding Zach. Well, my Gematria Effect News 2 decoded. My first one, I decoded something he put out on his book. And I showed how it was the source code. It was supernatural. Based upon what he was showing, the page number, the breakdown of the numerology, the verse he was just everything in there. Showed it was tied to the 56. And then a week later, after he remarked about it, I ended up going down to Tulum, Mexico, about a couple hours down the street from here. And as I'm walking through the sand, like when you go to Tulum in Mexico, some of you may have been there, there's like you got to like go off the beaten path to get to the water sometimes. So you're walking through these like, that's not really made to walk through, but so it's like, off the beaten path. And as I'm walking through the sand with my friends to go to the beach, I look down and there's two cards. Just like these, they were black, but they were really sunburnt. They were really faded by the sun. You could barely make them out. Stuck in the sand. Of course, I noticed them because I'm into the cards. And what were the two cards? It were these right here. It was Zach's birth card. And then the day that I ended up shooting the video that day, this was the card for that day. How's that possible? I ain't no damn magic trick, man. I'm not trying to pull a rabbit out of the hat to try to fool anybody. People think, oh, you docked it up. It's like, man, what are you thinking here? But that's what happens in my life now. And if you're willing to pay attention, you're going to start to see that these things are going to happen in your life. Personal synchronicities. So I've pinned that It's All in the Cards at the top in case you want to go there and click on it to get your birth card. Yeah, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, man, when I found those two cards in the sand, and not only that, but it was 79. Or 97, but 97 is the 25th prime number, 79 is gold. So what are the chances that I go down to Tulum for one day because my friends were here, drive 2 hours down to Tulum, get down there, we did kind of like a whole day thing, and I walk through a place where you're not supposed to walk through to get to the beach. I look down and there's only two cards in the sand. And one of them was Zach's birth card, and the other one was the day that I shot the video. I mean, what are the odds? So I just shake my head. It's like I just laugh now. And anybody that tells me that we're not living a predestined script, man, like, okay, I don't know what planet you're on. That's totally fine. Like, you got to make the truth your own. But like, I mean, how would you describe that? You know, people are saying, oh, you, that's not true. Or they'll try to just dismiss it. And I don't care. I don't have any time. I don't have any reason to defend the things that I'm showing these days. I stand by them, but I don't care if you believe me. I don't care. You don't live my journey. You don't live my life. And I'll encourage all of you to be the same way. You don't need to defend what you're finding in your reality. So Jacob, you have the Joker card, December 31st, the only card of its kind, the only birthday that has the Joker. Donald Trump's son, he was born on December 31st. Affinity Numerology, Artist Seer. Affinity Numerology is the website. So if you just type in whatever number you want to look up, this is like a shortcut. Any number that you want to look up to figure out and read about how the number shows up, you just go to your favorite search engine and you type the number 31, 56, 24, and then after the number, you type in affinity numerology. And it should pop up right on the very first piece of the search engine. And you just click on that and you read about it. It's a really good basic website to go to. I use it all the time. You know, to get the meaning in numbers if I need a little extra kick. I like to show people. Like when I do readings, I use a lot of resources because I let people, we think in pictures. So I don't just like talk. I bring them to websites. I show you because we want to think in pictures. It gives you, it heightens the senses. Hearing's just one, but when you use hearing and visual, it's better. You're duplicating, or you're doubling up, I should say. Eight of diamond, we have an eight of diamond. Those of you that are eight of diamonds, man, I mean, the workaholics, right? I mean, if you're willing to work for whatever, first and foremost, if you're an eight of diamonds, if you were born with this birth card, this one, right there, 34th card in the deck, sits in the crown line. It's a guaranteed success card. But there's one cliche. You got to work for it. You got to hustle. So if you knew that, because there are a lot of eight of diamonds walking around, there's bums on the street, eight of diamonds, I mean, you know, and you'd be like, well, how come they didn't get that? Because they're not applying themselves. So maybe this is where free will comes in. But just setting that aside for a minute, just eight of diamonds, man, it's the workaholic card. It's so you got to figure out what you're good at. What do you want to do? First you decide what you want to do. Forget about the money. Alan Watts, what if money was no object? Forget about the money you will earn. What do you want to freaking do with your life? Then, when you finally figure it out and say, that's it, then you do your creative visualization if you want to try to fast track it, if you want to get into, that's creative visualization is getting into the zone with these things. Using your imagination. And then you go out and you work for it. And then you got to, there's a lot of things when I do a reading for people, your age, you got to look at that cycle. So like, what's your age? What's your current age? You're going through that cycle. If you're 26, you're going to be through an 8 cycle. What does the number 8 mean? Well, that's going to be an energy you're going to have to live through for the entire solar return of number 8. And you got to take that into consideration. Then you got to take your life path into consideration, your soul contract. Then you got to figure out where your cards are at for that birthday. Then you have also what's called your planetary ruling card. See, this whole system, it's not like just like someone's just going to roll the red carpet and say, yeah, well, it's just your birth card and that's it. No, there's a lot of moving parts to this. You get planetary ruling card is something that you have for life, man. I don't talk a lot about it because it's, I'm trying to give people the basic fundamentals. But if you want to know what your planetary ruling card is, very easy. You got to involve astrology now. Now, I like to use Vedic and Western looking, because some of you will have 2 planetary ruling cards. Not 1, 2. Because if you're like myself, if you're a sun sign in one system and a different sun sign in the other, that means you're going to have 2 planetary ruling cards, usually. So you got to figure out where your sun is. I mean, most people in astrology are like, okay, so I'm a Capricorn sun and Aquarius sun. So I have 2 planetary ruling cards. And all you got to do is, who's the ruler of Capricorn? Saturn. So then I got to look in the lineages of my cards, and I have to count the spaces to find out where Saturn is. I'm not going to go into all that tonight, but you got to figure that out. Then I have Aquarius, which is Uranus. So it's going to be the card right after Saturn. So I got 2 planetary ruling cards. And these you can read on the charts. There's 7-year cycles in here. There's a lot of moving parts to this, but ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, these things right here have their say in how this reality works, without a shadow of a doubt. AJ Native's talking about, yeah, social security number. It's another one. It's another one. You can take your social security number and you can decode that. What is the first 3 digits? And then what does that link to? With the middle digits, it's always going to be 2. You can link these to alchemy. And then you got your 4 digits at the back end. But you're like, well, what does that mean? I don't know. You got to start to, I don't know. I need to see your whole spread of who you are. Can't just say, well, what does this mean in my life? I don't know. I need to look at your whole life. It's like trying to fix a car and the instruction manual is missing. Or trying to put something together and you ain't got the instruction manual. You're only going to get so far if it's very complex. Is there a reference guide for the 52 cards? No, not necessarily. But if you go to Sharon's website, itsallonthecards.com, you can look up all the cards. You can change them all and look up all the cards. X Trouble Music, how do I get a card reading? I do tarot readings. I don't do that system specifically. I incorporate these into my number 2 and number 1 readings, which these fit into the astrological chart along with the tarot. But I don't do these specifically. I do tarot by themselves. So if you're interested in that, I do that. And you would just send me an email, decodeyourreality@gmail.com, and request it. decodeyourreality@gmail.com. Joseph Gregory, I was born on June 13th. Look it up at the very top of the chat. There's a website. It's called It's On the Cards. Click on that and then choose your birthday, June 13th, and it'll tell you. Go read about your card, Joseph Gregory. It's going to give you more information that's going to be more accurate than the basics that I'm going to give you. But you are the 4 of diamonds, card number 30. John Steele, what is the significance of where our birth cards appear next in the progression? Well, the way these cards work, ladies and gentlemen, just to show you on the chart here. So let's say that, let me see if I can get it. Let's say that this 3 of clubs is your birth card. Well, then what you do, let me just adjust my microphone. What you're going to do is you're going to count and you're going to move left. So this would be your sun card. And then this would be your Mercury. This would be your Mars. This would be your Venus. This would be your Jupiter. This would be your Saturn. This would be your Uranus. And then you go down to the second tier, and this would be your Neptune. This would be your Pluto. And you can keep going. You can do 12 cards and take the 12 cards, put them inside your astrological chart. And you're going to get a roadmap to how it all works for that year. And what kind of energies you're going to live through for that year. And then when you get advanced, you can see, okay, well, my 3 of clubs is in the spot where, you know, the ace of hearts is usually sit. So now you have an energy that you have a default house. Like, you know, if you don't have Aries rising, you're still going to have Aries rising. It just will be in the background. So if you got a Scorpio rising in your first house, you're still going to have Aries in the background because Aries owns the first house. So you have to take into consideration, it still will have Aries embedded into you. Everybody has Aries in their first house. You just may not have it in the first house. In the first house is the magician. That's how you got to look at this stuff. You can take this stuff. Here it is. In the first house of astrology, all of you, you're going to have the magician card. This sits in the first house of astrology. Everybody's first house. And this, what does the first house represent? Your ego, your identity. You root, dropping the anchor, slinging your magic. And it's ruled by Aries the Ram, which is a fire sign. And the Lord of the first house, by default is Mars. Always. Even if you have Jupiter there and Mars is in the 10th house, he's still going to be influencing that house because he owns that house. Owns it. It's kind of like you have a house and you rent it out and people move in and you give them the keys. You're still the owner of the house. You're still attached to the house, even though somebody has the keys and they have their furniture in there, and you still are the owner of that house. Your name's on the title. So in the first house, Mars is still on the title of the first house, no matter where it's at in the placement of the charts. It will always be playing out in the background, always. No, the Fool card would not be in the first house. The Fool card's not even on the chart at all. It's like off the chart. Well, actually, no, I take that back. It would be in the 22nd house. So you'd wrap 13 cards all the way, you'd wrap 12 cards all the way around, 13 would be in the middle. And then you'd do 14, 14 would be where Aries is at, and you'd wrap around again. And then you'd have 14 through 20, 25, and then 26 would be in the middle. I'm going to show, matter of fact, tonight you guys are in for a treat. I think I'm going to show you tonight. This may be a little premature, but you know what the hell? Having fun. I'm going to show all of you some groundbreaking material that I've been working on research-wise. I'm going to show you how alchemy fits into the astrological chart. I've already released this before, but I have it 4 layers deep. I'm going to show you all that. I think it's kind of, and this is the great thing about watching these lives, because there's just shit in here I just throw in here just randomly. But I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you, and this is good. This is all part of Decode Your Reality, you know? But alchemy, how beautiful alchemy is, tied to the tarot, tied to the cards of illumination, tied to the houses of astrology. Like if you're born on the 30th, well, that's going to be the element zinc. And where's the number 30 fit on the astrological chart? There is only 12 houses. I'm going to show you that tonight. And then you get into numerology and you find a word that starts with 30. Or words that end up being 30 in numerology. Like demiurge or role play. Those are 30. Santa Claus, Nazareth. So those would fit in that 30 position under that astrological sign. And then you get numerology into astrology and alchemy and the tarot and the cards. You get like 4 or 5 layers to decoding this reality. And I can guarantee you it's accurate. I don't know when my course is coming out. Still working on it. How long till the sun goes out? I couldn't tell you that. But see, 2024 looks pretty interesting. 2024 looks like a really interesting year. Yep. I think 2024 could be a huge pivotal year for all of us, but I'm just having fun with this. I'm not going to say it's true. Don't gamble on that. Don't be going out there saying, well, Logan said 2024. I don't like doing predictions. When I do sports stuff and I do politics stuff, it's just for fun. Don't care. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I've been wrong so many times. I'm not trying to keep count. Matthew Clark, thank you very much for your kind words. I just read that Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Vulcan would be a secondary placement. Mercury is, the ruler of Virgo. See, you got to understand, Virgo is the 6th zodiac. So let me show all of you so you can see, because we think in pictures. Okay? It's just really simple. Now, Virgo, all of you Virgos, 6, and so here we go. I'm ready to synchronize some stuff. Here we go. Here's some synchronizations. Okay? Virgo is the 6th sign. 6 in mathematics is the first perfect number. 6 in theology is the last day of creation. Why do you think the last day of creation was 6? Because in mathematics, the number 6 is the first perfect number. If you don't know what that means, just go Google, what is a perfect number? In the tarot, what's the 6th card? The Lover's card. The last day of creation. These cards are heavily based in Jewish mysticism, which is based in Judaism, which is based in the Old Testament. There's Adam and Eve right there in the cards. So the Virgo, the virgin has 2 children. And you see, Jesus was born of a virgin in the story of the Jesus Christ character. Whether he was real or not doesn't make a difference. The idea makes it real. And then right across the way from 6 is house number 12. And what is house number 12? All you Pisceans, rejoice. And what is Pisces? The 2 fish. What was Jesus? A fisher of men. And what if you take 12 and 6 and you bring them together, what number do you get? 126. What element holds the 126? The 53rd element called iodine, which is 1/2 of the I am. Iodine sits in the first house of Aries. The ram, the Lamb of God. Iodine does. But Mercury runs that. Jesus was a messenger, right? He was. What do you think Mercury is? A messenger. The messenger of the gods. Kind of makes sense. Mercury equals 23 in numerology, just like the word moon equals 23 in numerology, just like the word blood equals 23 in numerology, just like the word history, just like the word crown. Jesus wore a crown. Those are all 23 in Chaldean numerology. One cipher. And Mercury runs the 6th house of Virgo, where Jesus was born from the virgin. The only virgin in the zodiac is Virgo. Just so happens to be the 6th zodiac sign, the first perfect number, and the Lover's card in the tarot. Yeah, say it isn't so. Yeah, are you serious? Yeah, I'm totally serious. And what's the 6th element on the periodic table? Carbon. 666. 666, carbon, the 6th element in the 6th house of Virgo, where Jesus was born. And right across the way, he was a fisher of men, having a symbiotic relationship with the number 12 in Pisces and the hangman. I mean, it's so easy to see this, folks. Scorpio, what about Scorpio? Scorpio is in the 8th house. Scorpio owns the 8th house. Across the way from Scorpio is Taurus. Taurus is 2, Scorpio is 8. That's 28. 28's tied to Lucifer. 28's tied to architect. Taurus is the bull god, the bull's eye. Taurus has the 2 horns, Scorpio has the devil's tail. They're right across from one another, having a symbiotic relationship with each other. They're 2 of the fixed signs out of the 4 fixed signs. Scorpio and Taurus, the bull. That's why the bull is the mascot for Wall Street, deals with a lot of currency. Why is Scorpio and Lucifer so closely tied together? Because Scorpio represents the occult. It represents the secrets of the world. If you watch the show Lucifer on Netflix, what was he doing in that show? He worked for the police department with the detective. It's literally like Lucifer creates the drama and the crime and then goes out and fights it himself. So if you get into like, oh yeah, Lucifer runs this reality, it's the demiurge, it's Yaldabaoth, it's all these, different titles that we give it. It's light. Light is what runs, light is the devil. Because if we were all running around in the dark, you wouldn't see any evil. You may bump into it a little bit here and there, you may feel it, but you need light in order to function in this reality, whether it's artificial or from the sun. So light is the devil. That's why Lucifer's the light bringer and Jesus is the light of the world. But Scorpios, those of you that are Scorpios, rising signs, you have planets in Scorpio. Wait till I show you like Ted Bundy, the serial killer. He had like 5 or 6 energies in his Scorpio house. in the sign of Cancer. What is one of the most prolific diseases that kills people? Cancer. Why did they name it the Tropic of Cancer? Why would they choose that name? And it's the zodiac sign 4. Well, the word demiurge is in the sign of Cancer. Just like the world role play. Cancer. Cancer kills people. You wouldn't believe it, man. When you start looking at the astrological placements, you see, well, where's the Cancer at? Where's the Cancer located at in the chart? I'll tell you the story. It's playing out its role. See, these celestials, these zodiac signs, the celestials that run this, the Stargate that it is, those things collect energy. They want energy from this reality. They all play turns. Just imagine the Stargate up above you, the celestials, all the stars, they all get turns. They all get fed. They're hungry. They want to get fed. Lucifer equals Prometheus? Absolutely. It is Prometheus. So the light of the world ends up creating this reality. The devil, which is the sun, which is light. Both natural and artificial. Doesn't matter. And Prometheus is tied to the golden ratio. Promethium is the 61st element. The golden ratio is 1.61. So it's kind of a no-brainer there. And I already showed how Lucifer and the primes is 223 and tied to Promethium. I showed it many times. So Denise says, God will not be mocked. Well, then Denise, I would say, well, what is God to you? Because we need to know what the subject is first before we discuss any adjectives. See, the adjectives are kind of a waste of time. I want to know about the subject. So what is God? What is the G-O-D? And then you know what you're going to get into. You're going to get into, well, it's this and it's that. Okay, well then, how are you to prove that? See, it will just come down to an opinion. That's it. So personally, I don't believe there's any mocking going on. I think that's absurd. Especially when you see that you're living in a scripted reality, there can't be any mocking. Just like there can't be anything as luck. There's no such thing as luck. That's an illusion, if there is such a thing as illusions. Why are there 12 zodiac signs and 12 houses when there are 13 moon cycles? Well, not everything is going to fit perfectly in everything. And keep in mind, there is 13 you have the 12 zodiac signs, and then you got Jesus in the middle, the king. So there are 12 zodiac signs that wrap around, which makes, this is your eye now. Astrology is nothing other than your eyeball. And you got 2. So you get the chart of when you were born and then the chart of the now moment, constantly moving. And you're going to have the 12 zodiac signs in your iris, which is the 12 tribes of Judah, which is the 12 apostles. Well, the center point is the 13, the pupil, representing the Christ, the King. That's why any of you here, I would encourage you to go into the mirror tonight and really look up close at your eyeball. And you know what you're going to see wrapped around your pupil? The crown of thorns, which I showed in my illumination decoded with the graphics. All of you, we're all having the Jesus Christ superstar experience, male and female, doesn't matter. That's why there are 12 zodiac signs and 12 houses. There's the 13 in the very middle, the bullseye, if you will. It would be hell lonely here if it weren't for separation of ego. Yeah, I mean, the great meme is in heaven, all the interesting people are missing. I think that's funny. Yeah, I know about Ophiuchus. I actually had somebody who had to block trying to say that we're not moving into the age of Aquarius, we're moving into the age of Ophiuchus. And I'm like, that's not even possible, because Ophiuchus is in between Sagittarius and Capricorn. So you're not even near it. You'd have to go into Capricorn first. And we're not even through Aquarius yet. So we are moving into, or have already moved into, the age of Aquarius. And the ruler of that is Uranus. And the age of Aquarius is not going to be anything like the age of Pisces. Just like the age of Pisces was nothing like the age of Aries. I mean, if you start to study the ages, can you imagine living back when the barbarians and the conquistadors and the war, like the savage beastry going on? Imagine living in those times. Compared to now, we got it easy. The Vikings, and all, you got it easy, man. The pirates, we got it easy now these days. If you were given a good code, I mean, all of you here, I would imagine, if you just be grateful for your life and be like, oh yeah, I'm not getting pirated. I'm not. No one's trying to take my head off. No one's trying to scalp me, like they did back in those savage days. I can only imagine what it was like back in Aries and Taurus in those years. And then you go back and you look at the technology. I mean, go back to ancient Egypt, and I don't take anything away from the technology of ancient Egypt, but folks, they were still poking at cuneiforms, at clay tablets to do their writing. We don't do any of that now. We got pens. If you want to go back, forget about the typewriter, you got pens to write on a piece of paper. You don't need you're using letters. We're so far advanced as a species. Can you imagine going all the way back to the savage days when they didn't have deodorant, it probably stunk up the place all the time, and then getting murdered by somebody like that? Shoo. It's bad enough you got to be around somebody not wearing deodorant, but then you got to get murdered by him. Johnny's, we have only to live the code is possible, write our own reality. Well, you're writing the reality right now is all that matters. So everybody is writing their code right now. Every single second of every single day. Forget about the script, the screenplay, your life. You're still writing it as you go along. Like if you were a coder and you're typing, that's what you're doing. If you had to narrate your life, like, okay, I went to the gym today. Okay, get on bicycle, ride to the gym. That's you're writing your code at that very moment. These eyes constantly create the code. I mean, the word feedback equals 30, just like the word demiurge, just like the word role play. And I personally think we're like rats in a cage. We scientists say experiment on, imagine you're a rat stuck in a cage in a laboratory. And you don't have the conscious awareness like you do a human being, knowing that you're going to get you're going to get injected with something that's going to bloat you or give you cancer cells. Or imagine being born into that kind of reality. Countless millions and millions of little rodents that, it's just a rat or a mouse, who cares? Yeah, well, if you're a conscious being, you'd care. I care. But these animals, they all just get, what do they get created for? The horrific aspect of that. Why do we experiment on mice and rats? They go through pain, torture. That's okay though? People do not know how this reality works. So if they did, they wouldn't be bickering and complaining about how it works. The majority of people don't know how this reality works at all. They just complain about it, hoping and thinking that will change it. If my reality is scripted, does that mean I don't have full dominion over my reality? Well, that's kind of a trick question. I don't think anybody has any control over their reality. Because even if you have free will, even if you have, let's just say that when you have a little bit of free will, let's say you got some. Well, if you start to deviate off course, you're going to be pushed right back on course again. Something will happen in your life. Some of you, a lot of you have experienced something in your life that happened, and you can go back and be like, oh yeah, that happened and changed my life. Well, how do you know it wasn't part of your script? It was supposed to happen. Or maybe it got written into the script on the fly because you deviated away from your course. See, I got enough evidence for me anyway. I got enough support and evidence. 350 plus videos now showing decoding people, places, and things that we live in a scripted reality. Now, do you think you get a hall pass out of anybody living today? Just you. You're the one who is the exception. You're not controlled. You get the hall pass. So you can say, if you want, if it makes you feel good at night, to say, yeah, I have full control of my life. If that makes you feel good, then roll with that. Because it's all about feeling good anyway. But if it makes you feel good at night, when you put your head on your pillow and be like, yeah, man, I'm in control of my life, then go live out that. That's totally fine. Like I said, I'm not here to convince anybody, but I can break down anybody at this stage, anybody's code, and I can show you the scripted reality. Anybody here, I can show you it. That's how confident I am in these systems. And that's not being egotistical at all, folks. That's me owning my shit and being very confident in my abilities. Like a firefighter has been fighting fires for 50 years. Do you trust them to put out your fire? Yeah, you'd be like, oh shit, he's been doing it 50 years. Yeah, you can, yeah, I'll choose that guy. Like if you're going to pick a team of firefighters and you go to the firefight station, and you got a couple rookies, they've been on the job for maybe about a year, but then you got a whole bunch of people that have been doing it 20, 30 years. Who are you picking to fight fires for your town? If you're creating a town, if you're building a town and you got to pick your firefighters, who are you choosing? You're going to pick the people that have been doing it a long time. And you'd be like, oh, well, Harry, man, he's been doing it a year. You know what, Harry, you're pretty enthusiastic. I'll give you a shot. Maybe. Denise is asking, you basically, how do you get out? Well, I mean, go watch my Prison Planet series. Prison Planet 1, Prison Planet 2, Prison Planet 3. And, you know, I mean, I showed that these are possibilities. I'm not saying they're true, but there's a lot of meat and potatoes to that. So go watch those. But I showed in there, you know, real brief, the cliff notes is, I think you got to check some things off the box. And what are the requisites, the things to check off the box? Be more service to others. Start helping people. Start being the best little devil you can be. You got to have fun with this reality. You're a sinner. You got to be slightly alkaline, slightly love. Are you doing that? Stop complaining. Stop pointing the finger. Stop blaming organizations. That's how I think, that's one of those are the requisites. If there is such a thing as winning the game and getting out. So then you're going to get, oh, don't go into the light. Like, folks, these are just, you don't know what happens after you leave. To even have a chance to, oh, there's the light. Oh my God, yeah, George told me not to go to the light. I remembered that. He told me that last week. And you're faced with it. Now you're going through the tunnel and you're like, no, I'm not going to go that way. I mean, is that what it's going to look like for us? Yeah, animal experiments are awful. I agree. But again, you know, if you look at the machinations of how this reality works, what was the rodent created for? What isn't, you know, like go study the ladybug. Stone cold killer. It eats aphids alive. Imagine being born an aphid. What a fun life that would be. You get to fly on rose bushes or go on rose bushes and eat the buds But then you got to worry about the predator called the ladybug come there, snatch you up and start eating you alive. What a fun code that would be. So that's why you be grateful. Like, I'm glad I'm not an aphid. This whole reality, ladies and gentlemen, it's an ugly one. It's beautiful, but it's got a lot of ugliness to it. It's all death and regeneration here. It's all predator prey here. That's what it is. And, we're all guilty of, we're killing machines. Every time you walk outside, are you consciously worrying about where you step? If you're at that level, I try to do it a lot. But you can't help it. You're constantly running things over when you're driving your car. You're stepping on things and killing it. Those insects, as small as they may be, they got families. They're trying to work for the hive, and you're killing them all by walking outside. Are you at that conscious level? How far down do you want to go with this? But people don't look at these layers. They're more concerned. Wow, it's this society and there and there. Inside your body right now, you have tons of parasites, you have tons of bacteria, you have tons of germs, and they're being put in check if you have a healthy immune system by your white blood cells, et cetera, et cetera. Who created the white blood cells? What created the white blood cells? What designed the white blood cells? What designed the immune system? And what would the immune system have any purpose in this reality if there wasn't for frickin' germs and bacteria? Whatever created the body, obviously intelligent design, but there would be no necessary means for an immune system if you wouldn't have built the adversary called germs and bacteria and parasites. So think about it with your logic and common sense for 1 second. Set aside what you think is going on in the world today. Just look at your body. Whatever created this beautiful temple, created it with duality in mind. And there can't be any other way to slice or dice it. Try to fancy words and try to philosophize against it. No, you have an immune system, and the only job the immune system is to take care of foreign invaders. What do you think, the devil created the bacteria and the germs? You think the boogeyman's running around, he's flashing his wand, and he's creating germs and bacteria to go invade your body? You think that's how it works? Go study the microcosm, folks. I mean, I'm making fun of this stuff because it's ridiculous. This is how ridiculous we have to get here. Yeah, the insect kingdom has to deal with parasite species. It does. Everything does. Ladybug, stone cold killer, praying mantis, cannibalism, kills its mate after it's done mating, chews its head off. Imagine being that. Like, you get to have an orgasm and then you get your head chewed off. Well, who created that? Think about it. I've postulated these things. When I first started to decode and started to break down theology, I'm like, I don't remember hearing about any animals doing any sinning. There was nothing in the story about any animals doing anything wrong, and yet they ended up getting screwed over. Think about that. So there's so much more to this whole story than just theology. It's a story. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a fan of that story, great. But I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan of some of these stories in the Old Testament. I've said this so many times, I'm going to say it again for all of you that are parents out there. Those of you that are parents, okay, you're an imperfect human being and you have children or a child. If you got a phone call one day and it was 911 emergency, and like, hey, you got to come down and your kid's in trouble and whatever, they got into an accident, what would you do? Immediately, your ass would be in the car driving over there to go help your child, without any hesitation. That's not what happened on the world stage here. Our parent, whatever created us, ain't running to our help. So everything's being allowed to happen. And then on top of that, you go study the Old Testament, one of the biggest books, Job, the guy Job, in that context, the devil is allowed to freaking kill his whole family. It's allowed to kill his entire family. So I want you to put yourself in Job's shoes, if that was even a real story. Imagine you got your family right now. Right now, you have a family. And the devil comes around and you're like, oh yeah, praise God, praise God. And then all of a sudden the devil's like, oh, he's just going to praise you because of what you give him. Let me take out his family. And God's like, okay, go ahead, take his family out. Let's see what he does. So your family gets killed. What are you going to do? What would you do? You wouldn't do what was written in that book. I can tell you right now. None of you would. Just like when you have something happen to your child, you'd go running, you would go immediately to help your child. That's not how this reality works though, folks. So we have sinful kind of natures. We're all sinners, yet when somebody's in trouble that we love, we immediately go towards it. And we're not even perfect. But that's not how this reality works. Whatever created us doesn't come running to fix things. Everything's just allowed to happen. So there has to be more context to this story. Way more context. So this is why and Jody, yes, be neutral. This is why I suggest, and I live my life as best as I can. I'm not always perfect, to be neutral. What does neutrality mean? It doesn't mean you sit there and be an idle person and just don't have any emotions. It's unavoidable to have emotions. When I say neutrality, I'm talking about when you look on the world stage, why are you giving it any energy? The mainstream. The collective. Are you feeding that? And is one of the requisites to win this game to not feed it anymore? Like, hey, you know what? I don't want to play anymore. The Tron, 2016, Jeff Bridges, he's like, if you want to win, don't play. I don't know if that's true, but it sure as hell resonated with me. I know how magic works. Everybody here does magic on a daily. Every single second of every single day, your thoughts create magic. What are you thinking about? What are you talking about? What are you giving energy to? So free will is an illusion. Maybe. I mean, there's no way to prove that you have control of your life, and there's no way to prove that free will is real or not real. They're all just opinions. But the one thing I can support is 350 videos, and a lot of you are the great decoders, countless videos. We live in a scripted, predestined reality. That I can support. But free will, I can't prove that. I can't prove against it, but I can't prove it. Neither. No way. It's not possible. So those are one of the topics that I just don't really engage in because, I'm all about, like, I'm the doubting Thomas. Really, I'm the 1 + 1 = 2 guy. I want to see it. Prove it to me. I'm not into opinions. I'm not into faith. All that nonsense. I'm not into it. Are we able to have gratitude for the pain because of how we have grown from it? Well, if you live in the now moment, and you've done the shadow work, meaning you've gotten rid of your past. Some of you, a lot of you, still live from your past. You allow it to affect you. You live through victim mentality. You live with guilt. You live with shame. You live with resentment. You live with anger and being bitter. That's all pain. That's all pain energy that you carry every day you wake up, and it's like put on the backpack of all this pain. And you just walk about your day and you carry it, and then you're like, hey, you want to see what's in my backpack? Hell no, I don't want to see what's in your backpack. I don't want all your shit. I don't want all your luggage. But see, that's what we do in relationships. We meet somebody brand new and we're just so focused on the honeymoon stage. We're so engrossed in the chemistry, we don't even pay attention to the baggage they're carrying, the backpack. Some of you have heavy backpacks. Have you done the work to get rid of it? How do you get rid of it? Go start forgiving people. Go start cutting your ties. Go start letting go of things. You know, nirvana is like pure white. Nirvana is nothing. You release everything. You can't go through nirvana with a ton of pain. I'm not talking physical pain now, aches and pains and broken bones and, you know, titanium knees. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the emotional pain that you still carry on as a human being to this day in the now moment that has no bearing on you right now. But you're good at it because you're used to it. And some of you use it to navigate through your life because it's an advantage for you. A lot of people like to be victims because they get feedback from other people. Oh, you poor thing. That must have been so challenging for you. And I'm not being non-compassionate. I'm just giving you a scenario where that's what people, they do the victim mentality because it's food for them. They need their fix. So I can go on social media. I can scroll through the pages and I can see who wants attention. You can see it. The people that are just craving for the attention. They're lonely. They're not happy with themselves. They got to tell you their whole life story about what they're doing, what their aunts are doing, how Bill screwed them over and how this happened and how my wife and... Why? Why you sharing all your personal information? Because you're looking for attention. That's why you're sharing it. You're looking for validation. You're looking for attention. Folks, this stuff, what are you doing in your life? You don't even need it anymore. See, if you strip away those layers and you become neutral, you become base, you won't need to do the selfies. You won't need to put yourself out there. I mean, if you want attention, go on a dating site. That's what it's designed for. If you want to watch football, you turn on the television or you go to a game. But there's a lot of people starting for attention because they're programmed to get the attention. They want the attention because it makes them feel something. They're not okay with being alone by themselves. They want the validation. They want to live through the victimhood. They want to live through their pain. So they carry their backpack on their back and they carry it through their lives, and then they want you to take a look at their backpack. That's why our reality is so jacked up. Because people start dating and it's like they show up and they not only show up by themselves, like you show up and you've been in like 5 relationships and you haven't even severed ties with those 5 relationships, and you show up and you're ready to move in with your new partner, and you show up and there's all your 5 partners behind you. It's like, we're here. We're ready to move in with you. What do you mean you're ready to move in? Well, I still haven't severed ties. I'm still angry at her. She pissed me off. She screwed me over. And you got all these silver linings to your exes, and you're showing up and you want to walk into someone else's life and you have all this baggage. Who the hell wants to take all that baggage on? Hell no. You got to do the work, folks. You got to sever your tie. You got to become clean. You got to clean the temple. And then you get rid of the pain. And some of the pain may be from a past life. Carried it over into this one, but you got to start looking for the signs of how this all came about. You got to be willing to entertain that, to sever the ties. That was my long tangent, by the way. Shard brings, I didn't mean to go. I didn't mean to go from your question all the way into that, but that's just how my mind is, man. I just go on these roads, and that's where my mind takes me, and I just dump it. I just, maybe some of you got something out of that. Maybe you didn't. It wasn't picking on anybody. It's just how I roll. But yes, it does equal growth. Pain does equal growth. The number one driver in this reality is not love. It's fear. Because love gets you complacent. Love gets you lazy. People get in relationships, they're all in good shape. 2 years later, they're on the couch, they have a big stomach, they stop working out, they get, oh yeah. A lot of you were in really good shape until you met your partner, and then 2 years goes by, and now you stop working out, your treadmill's got clothes hanging all over it, it's a now piece of furniture. Because you conform to the relationship. Now you don't need to, you're not at, the chase is gone. You don't need to take any selfies anymore because you're in a partnership. So you conform to that, and you become, love makes you get lazy. As beautiful as it is, trust me, I'm not like poo-pooing on love, but love makes people lazy and non-moving. They get comfortable. Fear makes you freaking get up and move and dance. Gnostic baseball. Where am I originally from? I was born in Connecticut. I lived outside of Boston, basically. I was right on the Massachusetts line, in a very, very small town in Connecticut. And no, I haven't always been somebody after decoding and stuff like that. I was very much asleep, if you will, for the majority of my life. So the programming that I had to get rid of was heavy. Being raised in a very religious family, Jehovah's Witness. My life has been one hell of a ride. I've done so many things in my life, but it was my script. I don't regret any of it. Because really, folks, all that matters is now. What is Logan doing now? What are you doing right now? I'm not interested in what you did last year. It's kind of like a business. If you're a business owner and you're running your business like you ran it last year, it's going to start to lose money because things change. Things change. No one here has got an 8-track player in their car. You're not spinning records anymore. You're not using a Rand McNally map to get around town. Most of you are not using a flip phone. You don't have a big square television. You got flat screens. Big monitors for your computer. Okay? The evolution of mankind is through these ages. You can't run a business the same way you ran it last year, the year before. You got to go with the changes. No, I have no Italian in me at all. I'm a mutt. I have some German on my dad's side. I have some French Canadian on my mother's side. I have a little bit of Indian, supposedly. I don't know. I'm a mutt. All right, you guys ready to see some astrology? You guys want to see some charts? You got a tape deck in your car. Think about how the evolution of mankind, remember cassette tapes? It was, I remember having a cassette player with a recorder, and I would be ready for the radio to come on and play my song so I could hit the record to record on the tape. And then you try to get it to where you didn't have the guy or the DJ talking. Sometimes they would interrupt the song like 30 seconds in. Oh, God. Well, dude, just shut up, man. You'd record the tape. Memorex and Maxell and those cassette tapes. Well, those things are clunky. They break down. So remember the tape? The tape comes out. Those are a nightmare compared to MP3s. No moving parts. Which one are you going to pick to play with? The MP3, of course. It's clear. It's digital. It doesn't break. There's nothing to move. I mean, it's totally fine if you own some of this stuff, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm going to ask you, what the hell you, like, why? Well, I mean, unless you're collecting antiques, if you're an antique collector or something like that, but like, what do you have it in your house for? Like, what are you holding on to it for? Some of you have a ton of stuff in your house, and you're cluttered. And, you know, like, I'm a huge Bob Proctor fan, and he's like, man, if your house is cluttery, your life is going to be cluttery. So if you want to free up space in your life, get rid of the stuff in your house. Go just give it away. Forget about trying to make money with it unless you can do it. Become a minimalist. That's what I am. It's just very freeing. If you want to be free, like a bird, no tie downs. The list of liabilities goes down and down and down and down. Liabilities suck. Assets is where it's at. When you're a minimalist, you don't really have one or the other. So minimalism is about neutrality. It's just easy peasy. To me, anyway. All right, let's jump into some screen share and show all of you some of my findings. So this is kind of sneak peek stuff here. Okay. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get my cursor. Okay. So this chart right here is the astrological chart for Theodore. His last name was not Bundy. It was actually Kurau. But anyway, the news tabloids called him Ted Bundy. But he was born on November 24th, 1946. And what you're looking at right here is his Vedic astrological chart. And what you're going to see is right here in his fourth house, which is ruled by Cancer by default. Okay? So in astrology, you always have the ruling zodiac sign playing out in the background. And then you can find out, like, okay, well, this is Cancer's house by default. Where's Cancer? So we come over here, and do we have any activity over here? We sure as hell do. We have the destroyer, we have Pluto the destroyer, and we have Kronos, father time. Okay? That's what we got over here in his 12th house, which is Pisces, which is the heaviest zodiac sign out there because it contains all the other zodiac signs before it. So when we look here down in his fourth house, let me zoom in right here. What you're going to see is a whole hell of a lot of energy down here. We have Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Rahu, the dragon's head, Moon, and we have Black Moon Lilith, which is kind of the corruption of the moon, right? It's going to be the dark side of the moon. That's what Black Moon Lilith is, the dark side of the moon. All this energy was located in Ted Bundy's fourth house, which is ruled by Cancer, when he popped out of the womb in 1946. In the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is notorious for being evil. Okay, it's got the devil's tail right there. And it's the default is Cancer. So we come up here to Cancer, and Cancer's in his 12th house, which is tied to Pisces, the fish. And you can go to Pisces too, and there's Pisces right there. And Pisces is in the 8th house, which you then go back to Scorpio again. So these are all playing out their roles, as well as Taurus in the 10th house. And we have Ketu, the dragon's head, the dragon's tail, the south node, with Uranus there. The quirky, eccentric Uranus. In the 10th house. Who owns the 10th house? Capricorn does, which is ruled by Saturn. So we come back over here. Saturn's in Cancer. Why is Cancer the disease on the world stage? Why is it such a prevalent disease on the world stage? He's got Pluto, the destroyer, inside the sign of Cancer. This guy didn't have a choice, folks. This dude. If you go read his history, what he was born into, and the stories about him were insanely grotesque, and just like he was very disturbed. He didn't have a choice. He was born to be a killer, okay? So that kind of rules out a lot of okay, then we can start talking about God and okay, well, where was God in his life? When he popped out into this world in 1946, the guy didn't have any bits of God in him. So then that kind of tells you a little bit more about how this reality works. With all this energy here, stone cold killer, this guy. And then you go to his execution date. Here's the astrological chart for when he got electrocuted. Notice that he got electrocuted on the 24th of January, and he was born on the 24th of November. So he gets born into this world as a Scorpio sun with all this other energy there, with his Rahu there, which is huge, and it's in this 18th nakshatra, which is got it's the yin yang of the goddess. Can't remember the name of the goddess, but the dark side one is pretty evil. Okay? But then he gets electrocuted on the same 24 day, just a different month, in January now. And now it's in Capricorn. So he gets his justice to the world. He gets electrocuted at 7:16 a.m. in Rayford, Florida. 716 is the big standout here, because I'm going to come right here to where Pluto the Destroyer is. And Pluto the Destroyer is in the 16th nakshatra, in the 7th zodiac sign. And I go right back to the time he was electrocuted at. You see that right there? 716. It's right there. Pluto the Destroyer, and it's in the 16th nakshatra. And we go to the tarot, and we can see what's the 16th card in the tarot? The Mighty Tower. That totally describes destruction and killing in the 10th house, ruled by Capricorn, ruled by Kronos. So we then go and say, well, where's Kronos at? Since Kronos owns the 10th house and Pluto the Destroyer is there to take his life away, we come over here once again to the 12th house, just like his birth. And he's got Kronos with Neptune and Uranus and Venus in the 12th sign of Sagittarius now. Sagittarius being the number 9. 9 is tied to the Pandora's box. Jupiter is the owner of this house. And we have Kronos there. And we have it through the 20th nakshatra, which is the card of judgment. So did this guy get judged? Clearly you could say he got judged, but he didn't have a choice. So yeah, he got judged, for sure. And to top that all off, ladies and gentlemen, on his electrocution date, he had Rahu, the north node of the moon, the dragon's head, one of the most important placements in everybody's chart, because this is going to be your drive in life, in the 24th nakshatra. Remember, he was electrocuted on the 24th, born on the 24th. And the 24th element, now we bring alchemy into this, is the element chromium. And this is the icon the Royal Society of Chemistry uses for chromium. It's the skull with wings on it. Can you see what I'm showing you here, folks? This guy didn't have a choice. His whole life, from start to finish, all part of his screenplay, all part of his script. I mean, there's a lot of other moving parts that I haven't shown here. I could break this down much, much deeper than this. But I mean, his rising sign, the sun's there in Capricorn. The sun's typically debilitated in Capricorn. Mercury, the messenger, we all have Mercury. It's part of your brain. Got taken out. in the 22nd Nakshatra. And I'm going to show you how important that is. So that's Ted Bundy, folks. Okay? This guy didn't have a choice. And he's got his Pluto in Libra. And Libra's the scales of justice. So the destroyer comes in to take him out in the 10th house of Kronos. Kronos is moving through the card of judgment, and he moves through the tower, and he gets his wheel of fortune. He got what was coming to him, but I can clearly tell you that the guy didn't have a choice. You could see, I mean, this is the code he was living through. Go read his biography. Go read his history when he was a kid and the things he had to live through and the upbringing that he had, the environment that he was. Why did he get born into that environment? You know, you got to start just to use your logic and common sense. Forget about devil and Satan and all this stuff. Okay? Just look at the environment the guy was raised in, and then you look at his astrological chart, and you can clearly see he's living through a screenplay. He was born to be a serial killer. This is what this says right here. All right, moving along, let's talk about John F. Kennedy and his chart. Okay? John F. Kennedy, his name, they called him Jack. Why did they call him Jack? Why was his nickname Jack? Well, when he got taken out, when he got assassinated on November 22nd, 1963 in Dallas, Texas, the time of the assassination was 12:30. You could reduce that down. You're going to get 3:30. The license plate on the Lincoln that he was driving in was GG300. That's going to be 33300. More 33. 33 is going to sit through the sign of Libra. That's where the alchemical element arsenic sits in. Libra, the scales of justice. But this is a really interesting one. Now, remember, his name is Jack. He was killed on November 22nd. That's 11/22, which is going to add up to a 33 as well. On November 22nd, this is the card that represented that day. The 11th card in the deck, the Jack of Hearts. And what was his nickname? Jack. So we have the Jack getting taken out. Jack, and J means Jesus. He was kind of playing that character. And look at all the energy he's got in his 11th house. Scorpio once again. This is at 12:30 p.m. in Dallas, Texas on November 22nd. This is what the celestials look like during that time. Here's the sun right at midday, right at the top of the chart. He's got the sun. He's got Mercury taking out the messenger. He's got Mars and Venus, the yin yang, and he's got Black Moon Lilith there again, the deviant. All in the sign of Scorpio once again. And it's in the house of Aquarius. Aquarius owns that. Okay, Aquarius owns that house by default. Come down here to the second house. He's got the houses are bare there. This house is bare, but it's still going to be playing through the eyes of Taurus. Well, what gets really interesting, ladies and gentlemen, is the placement of Pluto during this assassination. The Pluto was in the 8th house, and remember, the 8th house is ruled by Scorpio, but it's going to be playing out through Leo, the lion, and Leo is the personification of the sun, ruled by the sun. The sun's up here in Scorpio. So these right here, they're playing out together. They're like working in unison to take out John F. Kennedy, okay? Beyond the scope of however he got taken out. This is the supernatural working now. And the Pluto, the destroyer, is in the 11th Nakshatra. And the card for that day is the 11th card, the Jack of Hearts. How about that? What are the odds that Pluto, the destroyer, is in the 8th house of Scorpio? It's in the 11th Nakshatra, and he gets taken out on the day that's the 11th card in the 8th sign of Zodiac of Scorpio, in the 11th house. See the 11, and then the 8 and the 8 with the 11th card. And then on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, you come over here to the rising position, the 1st house, and there's the moon. Now, the moon has a big say in all this because we're talking about the shadow. We're talking about the shadow. You know, the lunatics come out at night. The moon brings out the lunatics. Well, this moon position was in the 1st house along with Kronos there at the ascendant. But the moon's the dead giveaway. And what nakshatra is it playing through? 22nd. What day was he taken out on? The 22nd of November. And it's through the sign of Capricorn. Who owns Capricorn? Kronos. And Kronos is right there next door, making sure and chaperoning this all happens at the rising position. And this is going to be through Aries, right? Because Aries runs that. So we could also come down here. There's nothing here, but we could shoot right all the way to the top, and Libra is owned by the number 33, or the 33 owns that. I'm going to be showing that in a little bit. But remember, the 18th card in the tarot is the moon. And you come over here, and the 18th nakshatra, where Mars, Venus, and Mercury are all sitting in the sign of Scorpio. The connection's pretty undeniable. And then another big takeaway is all this energy up here in Scorpio, where JFK got taken out, is nakshatra number 18 and 17. And to get out your calculators, what's 18 and 17? 35. What presidency did John F. Kennedy have? 35th president. You see? So folks, if you think mankind is actually, if you think whoever carried out this act of taking this guy out, if you think they're sitting down with all this and plotting all this stuff out to take him out exactly at this time, with all the people that were involved to have this thing carried out, you got some screws loose. Okay? You got some screws loose. That's my opinion, just having fun with it. But you can clearly see his life was scripted as well. And then how about this guy? Let's bring in some light now, shall we? Let's bring in some heaven, because this doesn't get any traction. It's so funny. I get more shares on Ted Bundy than I do on Gandhi. No one wants to share Gandhi stuff. People are like, oh, let's talk about love and light, and nobody shares my Gandhi stuff. They share the hell out of the Ted Bundy stuff, but nobody shares the Gandhi stuff. Why? Because most people are more interested in the dirty laundry, devil, Satan stuff. They're not interested in the light and Yoda and the good stuff. They're just not. They'll say they are, but their intrigueness goes towards the occult, the secret societies, the devil, the Satan characters, the boogeyman. That's what they want. That's what they want to talk about. But anyway, let's get into Gandhi and show you how this guy's life was scripted heavily. He was a lawyer. He was a huge name in South Africa, major name in South Africa. And when he died, he got shot and killed. When he died, man, there was like a million people at his whatever funeral or wake, whatever. There's millions of people, huge. He got taken out on the 30th of January, the 30th, and this guy right here was playing Jesus Christ. Okay, he was the personification of Jesus coming to this world to end this and end that and reform and this and that. Okay, but he's going to have adversaries because they don't want the change. So his chart is very crystal clear, and he's got the Jesus Christ character, the Jesus Christ superstar being played out. First and foremost, let's start by looking at his Rahu position. Okay? His Rahu, the dragon's head, on January 30th, when he got taken out, was in this position right here in the 10th house of Capricorn, owned and operated by Kronos. But Rahu's here, and Rahu was inside the second nakshatra called Bharani, right here. And what is Bharani's job? Well, it's the nakshatra and the deity who is the god of death. Okay? Through Aries the ram, the fiery ram, Rahu is playing out the role here as one of the team members to take Gandhi out. Okay? With this placement right here. In Kronos' house. House number 10. Okay? Lord Yama. Right there. Pretty obvious. But then we come over here and we look at his first house, where his rising sign, the rising sign, he got shot at 5:17 p.m. Okay. And his ascendant was, lo and behold, in the sign of Cancer. Cancer, again, how many people die from cancer? Okay. Cancer. Why do they call it Cancer? It's tied to the moon. That's why I got the moon here. And he's got Pluto the Destroyer and Kronos, both in this first house, which is ruled by Aries. So I come right back over here where Rahu is, and we get the god of death, because Aries rules the first house. So they all play a role here. It's like a team, a big unit right here, playing out their role, the celestials. And this ninth nakshatra, where Pluto the Destroyer and Kronos is at, in the rising sign of Gandhi when he got taken out, it's this Ashleisha nakshatra. And look at what the favorable activities are for this number 9. Poisoning, scheming against enemies. Well, the guy who took him out, well, Gandhi was his enemy. Forget about good or bad. Okay? This is what this means right here. Pluto the Destroyer and Kronos in the 9th nakshatra, which means poisoning. Pretty crystal clear. And coming down here, This is another dead giveaway. There's the moon. Where was the moon at? Right there. What nakshatra? 13. What's the 13th card in the tarot? It's the death card. In the sign of Virgo. Virgo being the 6th sign. Okay, Virgo in the Chinese is the snake. All right, you got to look at other layers besides just one astrological chart. All right, beyond this. And there's many other layers to this, but here's where you're going to get into the Jesus Christ character. You're going to come over here into the 7th house, which is ruled by Libra. Okay? The scales of justice. The scales of justice. And what has he got here? He's got his sun. The sun's there. And Black Moon Lilith, the dark side of the moon, in the 22nd nakshatra, in the sign of Capricorn. And you go back over here, because these right here, this 1 and 7, this forms a symbiotic relationship. They're feeding off one another. They're squaring each other. In astrology, you want to use these terminologies. Okay, they form symbiotic relationships. So we have the moon, Pluto, and Saturn over here playing out their, you have Saturn and Pluto playing out their roles over here, and right across the way in the 7th house, which is ruled by Libra, you get Black Moon, Lilith, and the sun in the 22nd nakshatra. And this is where we bring alchemy into this, and this is where you're going to get the story of the Christ. And we're going to get Judas. How many pieces of silver did Judas sell out for the Christ? 30 pieces of silver. Where are we going to get the 30 from? Where are we going to get the 30 from? Well, first and foremost, you're going to get the 22 for the nakshatra, where the sun's at, and Black Moon Lilith, and that's tied to titanium. Titanium has a weight of 47, and then you bring in this element called silver, which is 47. And what is the moon? Otherwise known as silver. So we get 30 pieces of silver. Where do we get the 30 from? Well, what day was he assassinated on? The freaking 30th. You see, folks? So as beautiful as this guy had for his life, there's no escaping the supernatural source code that runs it all. And there's no exceptions. Okay? There's just no exceptions around this stuff of what I'm showing you here. And I think that's all I got for today. Yeah, that's it. All right. Woo! All right, ladies and gentlemen. So that was my breakdown of all these people. And there's, if you're an astrologer, if you're a fan of astrology, man, you may have looked at it differently. You may have seen, I could have went on. There's so much more, but I'm giving you the basic fundamentals of what you can see clearly on the charts for these people. And they're just playing out their roles. Even like JFK, the most famous, the film, the footage is from the Zapruder camera, and the most famous, they named all the sequences of the film. The Zapruder film, the footage, they name all the screenshots of the footage, and the most famous, when you can see his head exploding, is 313. Number 313, and just like that, what 313 in mathematics? Oh, it's just the 65th prime number. And what is the 65 tied to? The 30, tied to zinc. And what's 30 tied to? Demiurge, the New Age name Jehovah, Santa Claus. It's tied to the movie, folks. You're inside of a movie, okay? That's what you're in. We're all in a movie. This is a theater stage, and you're living through your screenplay. And I mean, if you're a fan of astrology, even if you don't even really know astrology, I tried to narrate it best. Try to wrap your mind around that. Where do you go? How do you describe that? Are you just going to refute it? I just showed one example. I showed several examples. Wait till I show you O.J. Simpson stuff. The most televised, most watched. You know how much energy that thing got? How much money that thing made? Whew. Yeah. 47 degrees shown on the square and compass. Yeah, but that has it. But I don't want to go into that whole aspect because those people are being used. No one gets a hall pass. You just saw Gandhi, man. I mean, what he did for the world. The guy was a legend. Got taken out. Was supposed to get go check out my scripted reality part 3. I showed you MLK. He got taken out. His astrological chart. No denying it. He was playing the Jesus Christ character. You know, you get some people like, well, it was controlled opposition. I don't give a shit if it was controlled anything. It doesn't matter if you think it's control. The celestials supersede any kind of controlled opposition. Any kind of like, oh, they're doing mind control. They're being mind controlled. Bruce is asking, how much of the scripted reality is fiction? I don't know. I don't have an opinion on that. You know, I mean, so Red Rose is saying that murders make you angry and bitter. Yeah, I mean, the energy, like when I got Scorpio rising in my Western. So, you know, like I'm like born to do the research, born to do the occult. I mean, part of the reasons why I'm doing this is because it's in my charts, right? But, you know, I can only take so much reading this stuff. Like reading these serial killers, and like I can only take so much. I've had people say, "Did you watch the Jeffrey Dahmer stuff?" I ain't watching that. I've already read the whole thing. I've already decoded it. I don't want to fill my mind with that. Like there's just only so much. I mean, I can take a lot, but the energy gets really heavy. That's what it's designed to do. Like you can hear the music playing right here. This music, there's nothing heavy about this. It's made to make you concentrate, to focus. It's there to enhance your brain. So you got to know how the polarities of how this energy works. You guys, bam! There you go. You guys are funny, man. Oh man, some of you are hilarious. I'm going through your comments. Some of you have like astrological information, some great information. I mean, you know, I love studying from other astrologers because, like, you know, everybody's got an opinion, right? Everybody has a different perspective and observation points, and you're going to have yours looking at those charts. But I mean, you know, I have a friend who has 5 planets. 5. In Scorpio. But she's not Ted Bundy. Just the opposite. Works for Team Yoda. You know, wants to help heal the world, perpetuate the world to make it a utopia. So just because you have all this energy in Scorpio doesn't mean you're going to be a Ted Bundy serial killer, or you're going to be taken out and shot and killed and assassinated and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't mean that. There's more depth to these charts. But obviously we didn't have to go really that far with Ted Bundy. Ted Cowell. Cowell was his birth name. His full name, Theodore, whatever. Cowell is 88, by the way. And I was just messing around with the numerology, and I don't want to post this because, like, I've kind of steered away from a lot of the numerology now with a lot of words and stuff, trying to get more into the astrological and alchemy and stuff like that. But Ted Bundy's first house he grew up in Tacoma, Washington, the address of the house Ted Bundy grew up in Tacoma, Washington, I think from the age 4 and on, is 167 in numerology. And the house that John Wayne Gacy, the other serial killer in Chicago, the house he killed like 30 people, that full address, 167. 167 is the 39th prime number. 39 is tied to Yttrium and the 88. And then Ted Bundy's real birth name is 88. There's something with the 30, and of course Lucifer's 39. It's light, it's the game. Yeah, Ted Bundy got a lethal injection, as did John Wayne Gacy. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Ted Bundy got the electrocution chair, and John Wayne Gacy got lethal injection. Yeah, Richard Ramirez, he was in California, I believe. He was like minuscule compared to, like, how about Gary, the Green River Killer? He had like 70 kills. I looked at his chart, man. I mean, I can show you his chart too. And that's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, when you start to look at these serial killers and you read their history, you obviously can see the environment they got raised in was pretty shitty, right? The environment, like, they weren't raised in a beautiful area. Mom and dad were great to them, and they had brothers and sisters, and, I mean, you're going to get some exceptions, but some of these heavy killers, man, the environment they get raised in was just heavy. And then I just like, why did they get raised in that environment? How come they got that code? Yeah, and Ted Bundy was very smart, escaped prison twice, very good at manipulating people, hiding. He was so smart. Yeah. So that was another good point. Solomon, he was very intelligent. You got Lunchbox, got Black Moon. You got Black Moon Lilith in the first house. Well, again, I mean, I have mine in my first house as well. I can't remember. But there are, you can't just say, well, I got Black Moon. Black Moon Lilith is your dark side of the moon. Really, that's what it is. You can't just, look at that and that'll be the end all. You got to look at all the moving parts. It's a machine. It's like a watch. The astral, like, if you study the planets and the way they move, whether or not it's a projection, it's real, the idea makes it real. And it moves like a clock. If you open up a watch, the back of a watch, and you have all the components, that's the solar system. Even the Mayans and the Toltec and all their astrology, it's a big wheel with a gear on it, with gears inside. It's like a watch. Time. That's why you get chronos, father time. Chronographic watches. What website do I do for birth charts? Astro dash. Here, I'll just put it here for all of you. Let me just get it open for you. I use astro-seek.com, but let me just get the sidereal part because it'll be easy to. Okay. So here, I'm going to put it in here for all of you. Okay, so I just posted the, let me pin this to the top. So I pinned the sidereal Vedic chart website, astro-seek.com. So you just click that website and it'll go right to the sidereal and you just put in your birth parameters. If you don't, now here's the thing, folks, because I know this is, some of you, you don't know your birth times, okay? And don't let that discourage you. There's a way to maybe dial it in, to use a pendulum and dowsing and kinesiology and stuff like that, but you don't need to have, per se, the houses. You can put in, try to get a time that you resonate with. So those of you that don't have a birth time, okay, don't get mad about it. Just deal with the consequence, deal with the situation, I should say, that you have. And you just figure out a time, try to get a roundabout time of when you think you were born. Like ask mom or dad, like, was it during the day? Try to get a roundabout time and then use that. And then once you find your chart, the only variances you're going to have are going to be the houses and where they're placed at. It's not going to really change. I mean, the moon a little bit maybe, but the fast moving things, but the planets will not change in the zodiac signs they're in, no matter what time you put. I mean, there may be some variances in there, but very little. You can still get a pretty accurate reading of your astrological chart, even if you don't have the birth time. The only difference between not having the birth time and having it is you wouldn't be able to get into other layers like the human design, gene keys, the things that are going to require you to have an exact birth time. But you don't need to have your birth time to find your astrological chart and to start to break down who you are and why you're here. You just won't be able to know the energy of the houses that they're in, the accurate measurements of that. If you have two signs in one house, do they both matter? Yes, of course. If you have anything in one house, if you have 2 planets, 3 planets, imagine these are your, what I tell people when I do readings, I say that when you look at your astrological chart, that's your map. But those celestials, Kronos, Mars, Venus, those are all your team members. That's your team. Okay, we all got the same team, but we didn't get the same team because they're going to be in different houses. They're going to be playing out in different degrees. They're going to be in different zodiac signs. And then there's going to be the variances of these planets, these team members hanging out with other team members. So that's all you got to look at. And you're the manager of the team, which is the celestials. And you got to figure it out. You got to and how do you manage it? You can't manage a team unless you know all your team. How's your team going to show up? They're going to show up differently if they're in a different house, a different zodiac sign, hanging out with a different celestial. So you got to take all these things into consideration. And then you manage the team. See, I believe these zodiac signs and I believe these celestials are hungry. They want to get fed. They need food, like ambrosia. So it's very possible that experiences will come into your life based upon the planetary placements. And then you can go to the chart, like those charts that I just showed you for Ted Bundy, his electrocution, John F. Kennedy. That wasn't John F. Kennedy's chart. That was the chart of the assassination day. So you can take the chart of right now. You can take the astrological chart of right now at this very moment and look and see where the planets are at. And then you can look at your chart. This is called the transits and overlaying these. And you can figure out kind of like what's going to happen in your life. What kind of energy is happening on the world stage that you can tap into. I remember just like maybe a couple of months ago, I had something happen and I got super pissed, man. I got super angry. Like not like me these days. I got my anger get the best of me. I was so mad. And I was just curious. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I went into the chart and it was right there. Rahu was in Bharani, which is the god of destruction, Yama. In Aries, the ram, fiery hot. So that's the energy I'm dealing with here in Mexico, where I'm at, no matter what. So if you don't want to deal with that kind of energy on the world stage, don't go out. Maybe you don't want to go outside. Maybe you don't want to interact with people. That's being strategic with astrology. That's being strategic. Snoop Dogg, I haven't looked at his chart. How many people we got up in here anyway? Let me just check. Well, it's not that busy. Jacob, have I ever looked into the hidden Torah code? Maybe it doesn't ring a bell. It doesn't ring a bell, but I might have. Yeah, I might have. Sam, what's up, man? It's cold where you're at? Wow, it's nice and balmy and tropical paradise here. Not that I'm trying to rub that in anybody's face that's got the cold going on, but someone's asking about Jordan. When's he coming back? He's been doing his thing. I've been doing mine. We're due to. I'll end up talking to him probably tomorrow. So I'll make a point of figuring out when we're going to do another podcast soon. We will be doing another one soon. What about Kanye? Is he really breaking free? He's not. Look, no one's breaking free of anything. They're just doing their thing. Everything just is. So is he breaking free from the system? Well, you could say maybe. I don't know. I mean, he's from some of the. I don't follow that guy, but I've seen a few videos people have sent me, and he's all hell bent right now. He's like on a mission. But the thing is, see, Kanye doesn't know me. Kanye doesn't give me any phone calls. He doesn't write me any letters or emails. He doesn't give me any energy. Why am I going to reciprocate? My reciprocation is just decoding him, and I just don't really have any interest in decoding him. It doesn't interest me. Just remember that, ladies and gentlemen. If you're paying attention to some of that, you're giving them energy. Was that worth your gas? Is it worth your energy? Is it worth it to go and observe these people and watch these people? How much time do you spend on the mainstream? I know some of you, man, you're reading these tabloids, you're reading about the politics, and you're just feeding it. I know, and then you're like, well, I got to keep up with stuff. You do? See, I say keeping up with the Joneses is going to stress you out. The majority of you that try to keep up with the Joneses, try to keep up with the mainstream and all that, it's going to stress you the hell out. It's not going to give you joy, love, peace, and compassion. It's going to steer you towards fear. The likelihood of you choosing fear and your energy is going to lower watching mainstream kind of stuff is going to be very high from almost every single one of you here. I know some of you is like, no, it doesn't affect me. Well, okay, I'd love to see what your timeline looks like and what your life looks like. So the thing is if you want to eliminate, if you want to raise your frequency, if you want to check things off the box, stop watching that stuff. Stop paying. They're not going to take you out to lunch. I can tell you right now. They're not going to invite you over to dinner. They're not going to buy you tickets to a game. They don't even know you, but they need your energy. Am I into crypto? Yes. I mean, someone sent me this. No, I take that back. Nobody sent me anything. Today, when I grab my phone and do my normal routine, something popped up on YouTube. Of course, I'm on YouTube. So it was this thing about China and the lockdowns. I mean, and I had no idea. So I'm like, I was just curious. I'm like, whew, what a code to have. Like, these people are being locked in their buildings for months. And now they're protesting. And I think to myself, I am so glad I'm not there. I'd be miserable. I'd probably be angry. I'd be doing low frequency stuff. How can you do high vibe stuff in an environment like that? So that's what I'm saying. That's why you want to be a gratitude junkie. Be grateful for the environment you're in. Because you can always compare yourself to someone else's environment that is just like, that's prison. And there's no high vibe there. And the high vibes that are there are so needle in a haystack if there are any. Yeah, the news is laughable. I mean, I was just literally watching a few minutes of this, and I was like, kind of like, wow. Again, it makes me, what it reminds me is how to be grateful in my life. But I just like, it's like torture, like the stuff they got to go through. And I'm just like, I'm so glad I'm not there. So what if I got that code? What if I got stuck over there? What if I got born in China? And I get locked into my place for 3 months with, you can't go outside. I would be that guy, that rebel of freaking running in the streets. I would be that dude. Jacob, well, okay, let's change it a little bit. Thoughts on semen retention for spiritual purposes? I'm not sold on that. Because semen doesn't, if you hold it in, it doesn't travel up to your brain. There's no way it can physically. Sure, you can hold it in and then you can maybe have some kind of an enlightening experience. But if everybody did that, nobody would be here. See, if you look at the game of life needs players. And the only way you can get players is people have to hump. I mean, look, I've studied this high and low because I know Santos' thought on this. I don't agree with everything he says, but I mean, I respect I'm a huge fan of his stuff. It's one of the reasons why I got into decoding, because of that guy. But like I know people that are like, they just can't hold it in. because of their code. So what are you going to do? So it's going to be different for everybody. And that's why, like, if you're one of those people who just can't hold it in, and I'm not saying you can't, let's just rule out can't. Like, it doesn't feel good to do that. Well, then does that mean you're not spiritual? If you're somebody who needs to release, does that mean you get excommunicated out of being spiritual? I think that's absurd. If you want to get spiritual, you get spiritual. I don't really think there's any shortcuts to that. You just got to do the work. Yes, big shout out to Nigel. I do know, I mentioned this on my last podcast. We did a moment of silence. Nigel, the great podcaster from the Devil's Playground. I mean, when I was saying that about China, I was thinking of him because he messaged me, emailing, and he was telling me how it was he was in lockdown. It was like a nightmare, but he made lemonade out of it. You know what he did? He made podcasts, helped people. So he made lemonade out of it. So good for him, right? That's what he's doing. He's like, okay, I'm going to be stuck indoors. I'm going to make videos. I'm going to make podcasts. I'm going to research. I'm going to increase my brain activity. And that's what he did. He made lemonade out of it. So that's what you do. What do I think of the Phoenix phenomenon? Big shout out to Jason from Archaics. I'm going to reach out. He doesn't even know yet, but I'm going to reach out to him and ask him to do, which I know he'll say yes, but we'll end up doing Simulation Theory 4 because a ton of people have watched the number 3. It was a really good one. It was the best one. And people now want the 4. They were like, come on, you guys got to do it again. I got to reach out to him. I'll send him an email. But what do I think about the Phoenix phenomenon? Well, it depends on where you want to go with that. I think the Phoenix is kind of like a wiping of the board, so to speak. According to Jason, it's 138 years. 138 is tied to 57, which is tied to Lucifer. It's tied to nickel in the sun, tied to the Phoenix. So I think that there's a lot of merit to the cleansing of the earth, the cleansing of the board. Whoops, why is my camera's out of. There we go. I don't know how that happened. My background was way off. Oh, how the hell that happened? Still way off. There it is. Okay. Yeah, see, Jason from Archaics, man, I mean, I can show you his scripted life as well. I mean, I was kind of laughing. Some of his stuff, he's doing his job. He was playing out his script. Now he's taking, like what he did, he made lemonade out of his script. Went away for a long time, filled his mind with all this information. Now he's dumping it out into the world stage. He's doing the boomerang. He's giving it all back. It's a beautiful thing to behold. But he made lemonade out of his situation. All right, so you guys ready to see? I'm gonna show you guys now, you guys and gals, you great decoders, winding down. I'm gonna end this one early tonight. Like I said, I didn't plan on coming on here, but I'm gonna show all of you some brand new material that I have not released yet to the public. This is the very first of its kind. This is going to be in the lines of being theoretical. But what I'm going to show you is astrology combined with alchemy. So you could say this is like Alka astrology. haven't figured a name out for it yet. And then I can show you the cards of illumination, the tarot, all that's going to be in here, but I'm just going to show you one layer because this is so detailed. All right. And I don't know when I'm going to officially release this, but you guys are getting the sneak peek. All right. Here we go. You guys ready? You guys and gals ready? Boop. Okay. All right. So this right here is some of my groundbreaking material. Okay. Brand new. Haven't shown it. Well, actually, I take that back. I have shown a little bit of it. All right. But what you're looking at right here is kind of like if you want to talk about CERN and you want to talk about them digging into the quantum and the octagonal shape and these polygonal shapes, and you're going to get that here. The dodecahedron, all this stuff. Okay, you're going to get into some polygonal shapes, but this right here is taking astrology, which is going to be right in the middle, and combining it with alchemy. Okay, so we have the 12 zodiac signs, and then in the very middle, the bullseye is going to be your 13, and it's just going to duplicate itself. So 13, 26, 39, and 52. And why I'm stopping at 52 is because 52 on the periodic table is tied to tellurium right here, which means earth. Okay, tellurium comes from the Latin word tellus, which means earth. Tellurium's average weight is 127. 127 is the 31st prime number. Okay, so there's a lot of significance to this, and we know the words prison planet equals the number 52. So what I'm showing you here is, stuff I've been working on for a long time. Okay. And it's come down to this right here. So if you're having some houses in astrology that have a lot of energy, you may want to start to study some of these elements. You can get into minerals and wearing gemstones that give off the frequencies of some of these elements that are tied to the gemstones, et cetera, et cetera. But on the first level, the first tier, if you just follow my cursor, okay, it's like a cobweb. This first tier right here, and I've shown this in my my illumination decoded the first 12 alchemical elements. We start here, hydrogen. Hydrogen, of course, is going to synchronize with Aries. So when you have Aries, the ram, those of you that are Aries, rising sun, or you have planets there, you're going to be tied to the element hydrogen, okay? And hydrogen is the makeup of the sun, but it's also made up of helium. Okay. So now we move down to Taurus, the bull, which is the second sign. And then we get into the second element called helium. Okay. And you get into the bull god, Taurus. And this is just going to wrap all the way around. Those of you that are Geminis, you're going to be tied to lithium. Gemini being the two twins representing the two hemispheres of the brain. And what do they use lithium for? For bipolarism. Okay. For brain disorders. All right, so it makes sense. It fits right in there, and then pi is going to be there. 3.141 is going to fit in there as well, a 3.144, however you want to look at that. And then Cancer. All of you Cancerians, you're going to be tied to the element beryllium. If you're born in the 4th, like I am, I'm going to have some Cancer energy, right? And then how does that play out in your life? And then those of you that are Leos, the king of the jungle, the lion who's owned and operated by the sun, it's Boron. And boron is tied to the pentagram and man. So it's the sun coming down to become man. Okay. And the pentagram or the pentagon. Okay. And then you Virgos, you get the 6, you get carbon, and you get the 666. Remember in the Chinese, it's the snake. So the 6 starts with the letter S, just like the words serpent and snake. And that's why Chinese has the snake with the Virgo. Virgo is the virgin, which is the last day of creation. The last day of creation, of course, is tied to carbon. Hello. We're made up of carbon, right? Carbon, the king of the elements. No duh, because 6 is the first perfect number. Those of you that are Libras, you're going to be tied to nitrogen. Okay, making up the primary part of the air we breathe, about 79% of nitrogen. The air is nitrogen. It's going to be Libra. And the Libra is the scales of justice. Of course, there's pi there, 14.003. It's just a permutation of that. And then those of you that are Scorpios, right? Here's where you're going to get the devil and the boogeyman and Lucifer and Satan and all that kind of stuff, because it's the 8th alchemical element called oxygen. What does oxygen do? It oxidizes. Any of you have ever had a paint job and you leave it out in the sun for a long time and it starts to oxidize? Yeah, because the sun mixed with the elements, the air, it oxidizes. Okay? So you get oxygen, and this is 21% of what we breathe, and it's ruled by Scorpio, oxygen is. Then we go into the element fluorine, tied to Sagittarius. Fluorine's going to be tied to Pandora's box. It's going to be tied to Saturn's magic square as well. And then we get into Saturn itself. We get into Capricorn, and Capricorn being the sea goat and owned and operated by Kronos, you get neon. And neon comes from the word neos. And you're going to get neo there from the Matrix. And neon has the 19 for its most abundant. 19 is the 8th prime number. So Capricorn and Scorpio, when they come together, I mean, think about it. Kronos and Scorpio, the energy together, we showed that earlier in some of these astrological charts. Pretty heavy, pretty diabolical kind of energy. Okay. And then we get into the Aquarius. Those of you that are Aquarians, sun, moon, planets there, you're going to get this element sodium. Sodium is tied to the brain. Okay, the brain, the word brain equals 11. All right, sodium, and Aquarius being in a symbiotic relationship with Boron and Leo the lion. And then we get on to the last and final zodiac sign for the 12. It's Pisces. Those of you that are Pisces, you're going to have magnesium. Now, this is just for fun, but if you have a lot of planets in some of these houses, you may be deficient in some of these elements. Like magnesium is a very well-known element that many people are deficient in. It's really helpful for sleep at night, but magnesium is going to be tied to Pisces. And if you look at magnesium and you go study it on the periodic table, it's got an all-seeing eye over it, right? And Pisces is representing the two fish, which is the brain as well, okay? So there is some merit to that as well. So that's the first 12. And then in the middle, okay, is going to be the 13. This is where Jesus, the Christ, is going to fit. The king. All the kings, the cards anyway, they will all sit in the middle. And this would be the King of Hearts, right in the middle, card 13, and it's aluminium, okay? Illumination. And it's down the hole you go, down into this game called life, which kind of looks like this right here. You go down into the hole to play out this game called life, Tellurium and Earth, the prison planet, okay? But that's just the first tier. Then we get into the second tier. We start back over. So we have the 13 in the middle, and then we need to go to 14 now. So we go back to Aries, the ram, and Silicon gets the nod for Aries. And we just wrap it all the way around. We get Phosphorus tied to Lucifer, and it's now we have a connecting point to Taurus. Taurus the bull, and Phosphorus the light bringer. Demiurge is in there as well, okay? And then we go to Gemini, Gemini having sulfur, okay? Chlorine being tied to Cancer, argon being tied to Leo, potassium being tied to Virgo, and so on and so forth. And you just wrap all the way around, folks. What's really fascinating with some of these right here, especially the sign of Cancer. Cancer has the beryllium, chlorine, zinc, and technetium. And what's really fascinating, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give this away to all of you right now. Here's the free gift, okay? If you take your numerology outcome, and I'm going to suggest you use Chaldean, whatever word you end up coming out with, for example, the word demiurge, the word role play, these all equal the number 30, okay? And how many pieces of silver did Judas get for selling out the Christ? 30. Okay. And then what is the ruler of Cancer? The moon. So I know that this is how this works. because of these placements. All right, 30 being tied to the 30 pieces of silver, silver being the moon, Cancer's ruler is the moon. Okay? If you come over here to Taurus, the bull, you're going to get 15 in phosphorus, notoriously tied to Lucifer, and look at what's right behind it, nickel. And this is called devil's copper. So you can see how accurate this is, describing this reality. Okay? This is very, very accurate. I mean, I'm going to be coming out with O.J. Simpson's trial decode and stuff like that. And, you know, O.J. Simpson, his birth card is the 32nd card in the deck, and it's going to be right behind this germanium. And germanium, of course, is tied to the 72 angels and demons. And it's also going to be in the sign of Virgo. And when I show you where Virgo is the 6th sign, I told you it's the snake in the Chinese. All right. Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a Virgo, don't think that these things are going to apply to you because I'm applying them to a serial killer or someone who killed somebody. Okay. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be linked to you like that. All right. But these are all going to be playing out. Here's the notorious 33. Who gets the arsenic? Libra, the scales of justice, to balance it all out. All right. People got poisoned with arsenic. Arsenic's tied to calcium, which is primarily making up our bones. And the most dominant air we breathe is nitrogen. See how important Libra is, the Libra energy? And even palladium. Palladium, the goddess of wisdom, is right there. And 1937-46, those of you that have been paying attention, this is the last marker for that. So these are all going to have a very, very important layer to your reality as a human being. I mean, silver being 47 at the very tail end, the 4th tier, and it's owned and operated by Scorpio, tetragrammaton. You see, so you can start to play with this and you can start to have fun. And again, just take your numerology outputs, your words, and you place them in here, and you can start to really see how this reality works through the astrological placements, the alchemical, and the cards of illumination in the tarot. And I'm not going to bring that in tonight, but the cards of illumination, your card's going to fit in here. Wherever your birth card is, it's going to fit into a very specific house. And this is how I do my readings, because I take the cards of illumination in the tarot and I bring them into your astrological chart, right? Because they play a role. They all have a role to play here in this reality. And I guess the last thing I could say here, which kind of is a big standout, is since we're moving into the age of Aquarius, we're getting sodium here as the first tier, sodium being tied to the brain, sodium being tied to the salt of the earth story, sodium being an essential part of the bodily fluids, the extracellular fluids in the body. And then the second tier is chromium. And, you know, remember how big this chromium is. It means color. It comes from the Greek word chroma, which is tied to the 51, and antimony, which is going to be tied to the all-seeing eye in your brain. And where's the 51? Well, it's going to be over here in the lineage of Pisces. Remember, Pisces is the 2 fish. The 2 fish are the representation of the left and right hemispheres of our brain. Okay, the left and right hemispheres of our brain. So when you know where these placements are with numerology, when you can put the cards in here in the tarot and you can place these in your astrological chart, you're going to have many more keys to your kingdom, and you're going to be able to tell how the operating manual is for you as a human being. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that was kind of some groundbreaking material for all of you to digest. And, you know, shout out to all you great decoders for supporting this channel, for being here right now, for watching that, because that right there is I've never released that in its entirety like that. I have so many more layers to show all of you, but I promise you that right there is going to start some kind of decoding revolution with doing readings. I already know that's what's going to happen, because I'm already doing it. I'm already way ahead, but I figured that, you know, you guys and gals out there are decoders, you'd get some really good nuggets out of all that and what I showed. So you guys are very much appreciated. So that's kind of my gift, another gift to all of you great decoders. And I appreciate all your feedback. Thank you for all your comments. I'm sending out a ton of love to you guys, man. Honestly, I appreciate each and every one of you. Why would silver not be in Cancer? Silver is the 47th element. Okay, so they're not just going to line up directly. Just because silver's tied to the moon, it's not going to line up directly in the sign of Cancer. I'm taking the 13 and how important the number 13 is. Just remember as well, there are 13 where am I going with that? No, there are 16, excuse me. Anyway, forget that. I was going into chess, and there's 16 pieces on the chessboard. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you missed any of that, go back and watch it again, right? After I stop this, go back and watch it again, and press pause and study the chart, and start to make your calculations. I promise you're going to find things and you're going to be like, it's going to blow your mind. What's the best Chaldean online calculator? I'm still working on that, by the way. I really hope that my buddy contacts me so we can start working on our website, our decoding website. Still in the process of that, and all this stuff's going to be for free. There'll be no memberships and all that stuff. That's going to be, it's all going to be for free. Just going to get it built. So it's going to get it built. All right. But anyway, the calculator that I use, I'll give you the one I use. There it is. Okay, I just posted it in the comments. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wind this down and I'm going to shuffle these tarot cards. We're going to finalize this What's Your Question 46. Probably going to be my shortest one in a long time, but I'm hungry. I didn't plan on doing this, so I want to eat. And let's shuffle these cards. And let's see what the tarot's got to say tonight, right? You can't find the Zodiac Realty elements. This is my creation. Something that, I've never seen it before, but maybe somebody has it and they're just not sharing it. But anyway, that's kind of where my mind kind of went to as I've been decoding. And folks, this is my life. I spend so much time in this chair. Decoding, sacrificing, getting a lot of electromagnetic frequencies that are unavoidable. I'm decaying faster by sitting in front of the computer, but I just have a passion for this to do it. So I do it. Yeah, as far as the numbers are concerned, I'm not interested in subscriber counts, likes, comments. I don't really care, because those of you that are here and you watch these decodes, which a lot of you are part of these decodes, you're supposed to watch them. And if I ever hit 100,000 subscribers, then I hit it. But I don't have a goal for that. I don't really care, honestly. I keep myself in check all the time. And that's right. I am living my script. I am doing my job. This is my responsibility. Thank you, Tiffany. I am a tour guide. Okay? I may not give you all the pieces that you're looking for. I believe we're all DJs of life. What does a DJ do? DJ doesn't really create their own music from scratch. They just collect a whole bunch of songs and they blend them together. And that's what life is. You're a DJ of life. You're like, oh, I'll take a little bit. That sounds pretty good. I'll take a little bit of that. I'll slice it. Oh, that sounds pretty good there. Oh, she sounds pretty good. I'll take a slice of that. And then you're baking your cake as it should be. And that's why your truth is all that matters. Yours, not mine, not your next door neighbor, not anybody here. Your truth. You got to make the truth your own. And if everybody were to get interviewed if we all were to get vetted, and the question was, do you think you got the right truth? What do you think the answer is going to be unanimously? Of course I do. But you know as well as I do, if you lined up all your truth on the table, you know it. There's going to be some demises in there, if we're being authentic. But you'll stomp, you'll kick, scream, and you will go to your grave with your truth. And so if that's the case, then why are you fighting everybody else's truth? Because it gets you off. It feeds your ego. That's why. And the ego is an archetype inside of you. And it wants food. It wants food. All right, so before I pull this card out, I want to just throw this out there, just for fun. I'm looking for an artist to draw cards. Preferably a digital artist, because the illustrations have to be converted into, like a vector format. So if you have talents, I'm not going to ask you to do it for free. But if you're somebody who is an artist and you're up for the task, then send me an email. decodeyourreality@gmail.com. I'm interested. So let me know. All right. So I've shuffled the cards. I'm just going to kind of keep shuffling them. So basically, if you've never been here to do or be a part of the collective conscious card pull reading, I've been typically pulling 3 cards. Now you could say they're past, present, future. Okay. But I like to kind of look at it in many different angles. And we're going to ask a question, and we're going to put our heads together. Let's see what the universe has got to say. All right. So let me see if I can get a different song on here. Okay, this is cool. So this is my go-to dream state logic. And if you're somebody who can create music like this style, dream state logic, he's my go-to. He's awesome. But like a space ambient kind of music, if you're an artist, it can't have any like deep beats in it, deep drums, because it deters away from like this right here. It's just really kind of gets you in the zone and gets you thinking. But the drums have to be very minimal. The cymbals have to be nothing really too distracting. But just like this, kind of just like this stuff right here. Then I'm see, this is the kind of music I like. This is why I love this dream state logic guy. He's awesome. So if you got something like this, then send me an email, decodeyourreality@gmail.com. Okay. See what you got. All right. So collective conscious card pull to end this presentation. We're gonna kind of go with the norm, the easy, like what's gonna happen, what are we moving forward into? What does moving forward look like? And now this is gonna take your participation. Where do you think the world's going? So for 30 seconds, you're gonna meditate, if you so choose. And we're gonna say, where's this world going? Where are we going? You can ask the God, you can call it whatever you want to call it. Whatever's running this reality, where's it going? What do we have to look forward to? And then how we can take this information, apply it to our own lives, and make the adjustments necessary, if we have free will, to have a better experience. Right? All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm going to crank up the music, 30 seconds. What do you think the world's going to look like moving forward? What is the universe going to tell us? What is the tarot going to tell us moving forward? 30 seconds, here we go. Okay. This song, by the way, is called Ad Astra off the album To the Stars by Dream State Logic. It's one of my favorites. Okay, so I've shuffled the cards. I'm not going to touch them anymore, but we're going to look at the bottom card. We're going to look at the middle card, and then we're going to look at the top card. All right, let's see what kind of narration we can get out of this. Let me do my best to interpret this stuff. Maybe some of you will have your own interpretations like usual. We can add up the total cards themselves to see what number we get for the outcome. So there's so many different ways to look at this, but let's check it out. All right, you ready, ladies and gentlemen? Here we go. So I'm going to go to the middle first, okay? I'm going to go to the middle first, and then the bottom's already there. I think I saw what it was, but let's pull the middle first. So I'm going to get as close to I can to the middle as possible. And there it is. So we now have two cards, and you see them right there. So it's the Seven of Swords and it's the Six of Wands. So let's pull these out. And the bottom of the deck was the Seven of Swords, otherwise known as the Seven of Spades. Very mystical card. But this card right here is tied to the number 46. 1937-46, tied to the game of life. This card through the tarot typically is a card of deception. It's also a card of mental strategy. So what's strategizing? So if we just leave the deception off the table, because we need a little bit more information, right? To figure out what this card means. But this is card number 46. And 46 is tied to the element palladium. All right, palladium. So where do we go from here? Well, we get the card in the middle, and that was the very powerful, bam, the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands is a card of victory. This card right here is the 27th card in the 28th card in the deck, excuse me. 27, 28, depending on if you have the full in there. Card of victory. This is also tied to the Six of Clubs in the cards of illumination, and that's tied to the Sun, the 19th card. So in the major arcana, this one's going to go point to the Sun. This card right here, you can clearly see the individual riding on the horse. There's no battle gear. This is a card of the mind because it's the wands. There's a reef at the top. This is a card completely of victory. And it's tied to nickel. It's tied to nickel and cobalt. Nickel was in the lineage of Taurus when you looked at that last graphic that I talked about. And then let's pull the bottom of the top of the deck. Okay, here's the deck again, and we're just gonna move this together, and we're just gonna go right to the top. And what do we have? The Hermit card. Okay, so now we got a major arcana tied to Sagittarius, tied to Jupiter. Jupiter owns this card. Okay, it's the almighty wise Hermit card, the 9. The 9. So we now have 3 cards. Where's this world going? What's going on in this world? What's going to happen to us? Well, obviously this is very vanilla, right? Like this is not going to be super defined. Let me add these up using my trusty calculator. Just to make sure I'm not. So we have 46 plus 28. Plus 9. So we got 83. It'll be 83 or 81. 81 or 83. 83 is going to be tied to bismuth, which means white mass. There's some significance with the bismuth, but there are the 3 cards that we pulled. At the bottom, we had the Seven of Swords, meaning strategy, a new strategy. I'm sorry, no, it's a 5 of Swords. What am I? No, it is 7 of Swords. I almost lost myself there. So we have the Seven of Swords, meaning strategy, could mean deception, but is the whole world under deception? And what does deception mean? See, I don't believe in deception. I only believe in influence. So let's just forget about deception and just talk about strategy, because that's what this card means. Mental strategy. It's the 7, the crown of spades. The 7 of spades means the physical vessel. It means this. It means man. The crown. So we have to obviously strategize with life. And then in the very middle, we had the Six of Wands. And this is tied to the sun. So is the sun strategizing for what's about to come? And then at the top, we get the Hermit, the 9. And I bet if I pulled the astrological chart of right now to see in this exact moment, and I probably will do that, and if I find anything crazy, I will end up posting it on my social media or the Telegram group. I will be sure to let all of you know. But the Hermit card signifies, obviously in great intelligence and shining the light onto the world. So we have, we can say we have a changing of the mental strategy and deception. We do have victory here, but we also have victory coming in by, I think this card right here completely says that our world is going to be shown exactly how things are going to be working or how they have worked, because we have victory behind that. So the victory is surpassed by the 9, the Hermit, and the Hermit means shining that light onto the world to expose everything. So it's possible we could read it where we have this, these strategies going on the world stage, taking things from the means of trying to snatch things away from you. But you see, that's no longer going to work, because we're moving into the Six of Wands, which is going to be moving into victory. And the victory is found by the exposure of everything on the world stage through this Hermit card right here. That's kind of how I see it. Maybe some of you are seeking, or maybe you're seeing something else, but I definitely see that's exactly what kind of energy we're pulling here. I mean, we also had the 10 of Wands here, and we had the 7 of Wands. So a lot of wands, a lot of mind stuff going on in the world stage here. And that's what we got, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see if I can kind of get anything more by looking at this. I mean, where we've been, where we've come from, this card kind of says it all. This can definitely represent where we've been for the past 2 years. I mean, you can say, well, we've been deceived. Well, when you woke up and realized there's no deception going on, you can see clearly what's going on, then that would eliminate deception. Then you can just see that there's some mental strategies going on. And it's not even just mental strategies. This is spiritual strategies. This is also tied to the physical vessel. So this can represent the human being experience, the swords, the physicality, the carbon. And then we move into the Six of Wands, which is, going back into the mind. This is tied to the sun, tied to nickel, tied to Lucifer, the light bringer. Okay, this is tied to Lucifer, because this is going to be tied to card 28. 28 on the periodic table is nickel. Nickel is tied to Lucifer. And then, because Lucifer's 28, and then what is Lucifer known as? The light of the world. Well, there you go. There's another kind of combination that's kind of undeniable. This Six of Wands is one of the cards tied to Lucifer directly. Card 28, Lucifer's 28, Nickel's 28. Nickel's called the devil's copper, but it's in the same row as phosphorus, as I showed in my last graphic. Lucifer's going to be shining the light onto the world. Everything will be exposed. You can read it that way. Okay. So that's what I got for you, ladies and gentlemen. I think that was pretty loud and clear. I think that's what's going on. Yeah. Let's see if we can get one more card. Hold on. Let's just shuffle these a little bit. Let's get one more card for this. Let's get one more card. Yeah, today the card for today was the armadillo. So thanks for pointing that out. Armadillo tied to that Six of Swords. That's the present day moment, perfectly representing right now. Okay. So one more card on this, please. 6 of Wands, the Hermit card. We're going to pull it right from the middle. Okay. All right, so we got him shuffled. Let's see what we got. One more, please, with the 7 of Swords, 6 of Wands, 9 of... I'm sorry, the Hermit. What can you tell us with that? Let's get a middle card here. Here we go. Bam! Right there, ladies and gentlemen. Can't get any more obvious than that. So you wanted to get an extension on those? Well, there you go. Card 20. Remember, calcium. Calcium is the 20th element, and calcium is inside the sign of Libra. Libra's the scales, the 7th sign. This is where the Judgment card is going to fit, inside the sign of Libra. So there you have it. So the light is going to be, so the truth's going to come out. Everything's going to come out, and then there's going to be judgment. And the judgment is already written, so there's nothing to fear. Card 20, tied to calcium, our bones, and the sign of Libra. So ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The cards have spoken right there. Can't get any more apparent than that. The light of the world is coming to shine, and we will have the changing of the guards as the age of Aquarius moves in. It's clear, the victory of the cosmos. Not mankind, cosmos. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So that's all I got. That's my fun card reading for all of you. Let's see if we can get some... what do I want to play? Let's play kind of an off the topic. I'm going to play this song. Where some of you will know this song. Some of you may not know this song. And so I want to choose that one to end this. Yeah, I'm going to play this song by Porno for Pyros. It's a great song when it came out. Let's see if you guys can get this one, you guys and gals, all you great decoders. Before I go, let me just double check some of these comments. Yeah, I mean, if you take those cards, by the way, if you take those 3 cards, besides the Judgment card, but the 3 cards, the middle path was the card of victory. Neutrality. So, don't get, or I shouldn't say don't, really consider that the trap is choosing a side. It's choosing a side of their movie. So how do you not choose the trap? Well, don't engage in the trap. This is why turning off that stuff and not giving in any energy is going to be really, really valuable and important moving forward. And just be the best little devil you can be, man. If you believe that this is what we're going to be moving towards. I mean, the script's already been written, but nonetheless, I mean, be service to others. Maybe this is a reminder for you. And the reminder will propel you to move towards what your script already determined you're going to do anyway. Be more service to others. Get your body healthy. Get yourself in shape. Get yourself in shape. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate each and every one of you for showing up tonight on this Saturn day, moving into, we're now into Sunday, Saturn in the sun. So I appreciate each and every one of you for showing up. It's been a fun ride tonight. What's your question number 46? Thanks for all your questions. Thanks for just supporting this channel. You guys are all with me as I move along into this 2023 season coming up here. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for today. My name is Logan for Decode Your Reality. Until next time, we will see you later. Whoops. What a shitty ending that was. All right, there we go. Signing off, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great night.